Ha ha! Fucking done it. I think we're live. So who's been sitting in the sidelines for us? So Steel Fox, Jaralan, Favor, Steppergen, Lizzie. What, old friends? I'm joined by my incredibly standard friend, Sam. Sam did. Absolutely right you are, Sam. And thank you for coming on the show. If you're wondering why I'm not dressed up today, it is because my outfit fecked the camera because of the white balance. So I did have a big old King at the North cape and some nonsense, caused the camera to go. Ugh! Sam wasn't able to dress up, so just came as self. So I'm done. The bit is
because
done.
As I got here, the strap snapped, so I am swamp less than thing.
We tried to. I was gonna put on my King of North nonsense. Sam brought swamp gear. None of it all broke immediately before we started.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween!
Hey!
So who's in? Favor was like, "Why is Will sat with this sea devil from Doctor Who?" That's sat. Favor, that's very rude. We're gingers. We have feelings.
By the way, misspelled my last name. There's a K in there.
Where?
M-A-C-H-K.
Heck.
You're gonna need that for all the SEO. It's gonna drive an additional 27 clicks. Promise you.
Didn't try and use your surname in the tweet.
That's the best part.
But did use a picture of you flying.
Flying.
So,
like Superman.
yeah.
I always feel like that.
Tweets pre-deployed. Where it's like, do you though? So we've increased the number of gingers in here to 3, because River's having a little nap here.
It's a magic number. Yeah, it is.
We're going to solve video games. Now, I will introduce...
Wait, someone wants to ask me a quick question before we start. Well, I mean, I feel like we've kind of started.
I know it's TSCTH. I know it's going to be a troll of some description, but... Feck it, go for it!
I'm only here for serious inquiries. I hear that's a very, I'm told you're the Charlie Rose of Twitch, but with, like, pervier.
You are starting the bar way too high, my friend.
Way too low. Way too low.
Gonna bring it
No.
down.
Charlie Rose is low. That's a. We don't. Anyway.
Bad person, highbrow.
Right. That's actually the name of my that's my Ars Technica profile. Right there. Bad person, high profile.
Oh, this is gonna be a great day. Night Valen Watto.
I see the question. Is this a cult? I mean, look at us. We got a doggo over here.
Yep, let me just...
It's a red cult. Because the name on my thing is Sam Red. Because someone called me Sam Red once, and then I looked and I found samred.com was available.
And from there, a legend was born.
I've been buying it up. If you want to call me Sam the Red, I'll allow it. But I don't have the trademark on that.
No TM.
Yeah.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult. We played Sea Salt earlier in the week.
How was that?
Fecking brilliant. It was like morally questionable Pikmin. But instead of playing a little cute guy trying to get back to space, you're playing Dagon.
Okay.
You ask your head priest, the archbishop who has founded this prosperous city in your name. You must sacrifice a few names, including himself. And he's like, nah. And you're like, I'm Dagon. I got crabs.
That sounds, powerful. Sorry, when you said morally corrupt Pikmin, I immediately thought of leftist anarchist Pikmin, which was called Anarchy.
Which I actually have played and...
It came out a gazillion years ago, and I think you were one of the 70 people who played it.
Yeah, that game was
okay.
criminally under viewed.
Yeah. But it's alright. It's,
you unlock cute little anarchists as you go through it.
Absolutely.
Like,
No, it had some good ideas mechanically, too. It was solid.
Yeah,
That would have been a good Xbox Game Pass game or subscription game. That's one of those that you think that That's what's interesting to me now. I can't help but think about that because every time I talk to this guy, he's like, so blah, 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 blah. That's his accent. And then I played blah, blah, and I played and I played and I'm like, I don't understand. I have not heard of any of these. Did you guys know that since the stream kicked off, 70,000 video games have launched?
Yeah.
And most of them are Epic Games.
Guys, I made IT to you.
Yay! So congratulations to some numbers who has been, for some reason, putting up with my sorry ass for a whole year. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like a Care in the Community award sticker.
I mean, you probably should send them something. What do you send them? I mean, Halloween's a great day for the anniversary.
Fine.
Yeah, we got a buddy who had a baby today.
Oh, that poor child.
Yeah. What do you mean poor child? That child is born of the devil's milk.
That child is gonna have hell in middle school. So, numbers, feckin' thank you. Also, we had a load of people coming in, so Greenfire, Ehrman, Caffeine, well, and obviously numbers. Watto and welcome! I'll introduce you to my esteemed guest in just a moment, but it's the pre-waffle, so, yeah, grab yourself a cup of tea. We're talking mostly nonsense.
Wait, where's the tea?
Is tea a thing that you would like?
No, what I would like is your company, but also you should definitely have an assistant on site.
That's the dream.
Because then we hit mute for real quick, and you have the technical difficulties, and that's when I go full. What's that guy from Fox News who's terrible? Anyway, that guy. I just start screaming, "We'll do it live! Where's my coffee?" This is a completely unprofessional operation. No cats. I thought this was Twitch. Where are the cats?
We got better.
No, I know.
We got better.
Sorry, I just noticed that the whiteboard is visible. So while you do introducing, I can draw on it.
You can. Although,
I'm choosing to.
You will find other pens.
Is this red one okay?
The red one is okay.
Great.
Though I need to update the 1 to a 2, so I can do that. So right, how are you all doing, friends? Yeah, I have a fucking cool guest to introduce you to in a little bit. So if you want to grab yourself a beverage of some description, we are going to be covering a myriad of banter topics today. Probably going to be chatting a fair bit about Game Passes, just because that seems to be the topic that Sam and I have been chatting the most about in downtime. And I got a 1-month Game Pass courtesy of an excellent friend. And I was just having a look on the Microsoft Store for how much that unlocks, and it's a redonkulous amount. So, yeah. Steel Fox says they're applying for some QA jobs at my the Creative Assembly where I served. So good luck. I don't know if Graham's still there, but if he is, tell him I say hi. Faber says, 2 days, do I hear a faint challenge accepted from the secret Discord? No, you don't. They have been above and beyond and exceptionally wonderful. TSCTH says, here in Denmark we have a saying, Den man tunks ter elsker man, which basically translates to, you tease those you love. Oh, I do. In the UK we call it the circle of abuse, well, at least in game dev. Like, if you genuinely get on with someone in UK game dev, you will mercilessly rip the piss out of them. It's when people don't joke with each other, that's usually a sign of, oh, you all hate each other.
You'll notice I'm gonna get real serious real soon.
Oh yeah, that's the face. That's the face.
Wait, let me give chat that face. Wait, hold on. What I've been told by romantic exes is that my caring, like I'm really into you face looks like I'm about to cry. So I'm gonna pretend that you're someone I really like.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Isn't it weird? Like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel things.
Yeah. Walrus Wear, Watto. Yep, ripping the piss is how you are friends with people in the UK. Numbers got his Dynamax Shield! Dyna Shield! Oh, right. So if you are good for a beverage, good sir, the advantage about having both of us is we can actually go and we can get tea intermittently. I can make it for you.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, eventually we'll sit and chat, and then we'll do the thing, and
yeah.
But first, I gotta go on my tweeters.
Oh, and unleash your true powers. Yeah. Yes, numbers absolutely. Mech badge, 1 year badge, mech shield. Looking snappy. And Faber was like, that was just a dead-eyed look. Just like, oh, Ginger Soul! Ridiculous, ridiculous. There are 3 gingers in here. Lizzie says, I'm proud of you. Under 30 minutes of the stream, you tweeted out. That was only because Sam's costume attempt broke, and my costume attempt broke the camera because of the feckin' whiteboard.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure when I hold mine up, the strap is visible, so anyone who's missed the context can think, well, this guy doesn't know how to Halloween.
Yeah. Warren's Ware says, I never know who your guests are, and I feel bad about it. Well, I wouldn't say that that's...
My mother says the same thing, so it's all good. Yeah. She's very proud of whatever it is I do.
So, one of the things that I look for is... Alright, I'm going to be a little bit cheesy to start before I introduce you.
Yes.
So, I've been super privileged. Like, I got to be friends with you basically via, like, Danny B's squad. Who I met at GDC, and his whole crew, like Ryan Clark. That whole squad of people are such a wonderful group. I got introduced to you through that. There are a myriad of people in the industry who are very good at what they do, wildly influential, and hella skilled. And unless you've been able to go to a bunch of GDCs or a bunch of events and conventions and meetups, you don't really know. Like, Ryan Clark does not put himself out there like, you know, the big, you know, Mac Daddy of indies and stuff, but he makes shit happen. I think the same way with yourself. You don't put yourself forward in a lot of your writing, a lot of your work, but you've survived the games industry, the games journo route for longer than a lot of people have survived games industry. You've seen empires rise and fall. You met the bloke that made Tetris!
A few times. I met him again this weekend.
Right?
Last weekend. Yeah. I should... I mean, it's funny because with Twitch is one of those things where if I introduce... It's like radio. You have to do it like every 27 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm Sam. At SamRed on the Twitter. They won't give me at SamRed on Twitch, even though it's been squatted upon. So if anybody has power and wants to call, you know, Mr. Twitch, Jason Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'm sure it's the person... I think their name is Justin TV, like spelled T-E-E-V-E-E. I'm sure that's the guy. But at any rate, I've been at Ars Technica for about 7 years, and that's part of an empire of other things like Wired and the New Yorker and Vanity Fair and all that. But I started writing about video games in 1996 when I was in high school here in, actually in Dallas, before I eventually moved to Seattle.
96, just a couple of years ago.
And after I got, I go so far back that there was a .com crash in 2001. Where a bunch of games journos got laid off from various things because all the print world thought, oh wow, all these .coms are just going to keep on buying ads, and then pets.com just fell apart and things like that just stopped. There was a whole thing where people just, you know how when you hear about blockchain now and people just invest in it for no good reason, that's just what everything that's ended with .com got back in like 99, 98. It was a different world. So yeah, switched to music journalism and arts journalism. And then chased an internet girlfriend, true story, to Seattle in 2007. And when that didn't work out, but writing about video games for The Stranger, which is a weekly paper here in Seattle, began. And I've been piddling about writing about games ever since. And so Ars Technica is the kind of place where they're like, here's a very small travel budget so you can go to places like GDC and crash on friends' couches.
Yeah.
And then I meet blokes, and I meet dames. I don't know, what's the cool way to refer to all genders as far as cool... I meet cool pals who have 0 genders.
Yeah. My 2 favorites are Ladies, Gentlemen, and People of All Persuasions, and Friends, Enemies, and Those Who Have Yet to Decide.
I like that. Yeah, I gotta make up my mind on that part of the list. So yeah, been writing about games and talking about games, but things that are not games other than a while as well. For example, I don't have to review Final Fantasy games or Dragon Quest games because I don't like JRPGs.
And I'm one of those people. A friend.
Yeah.
Although, actually, did you get a chance to play Final Fantasy 15?
I mean, a chance. I played the first 10 hours just to see if it would change my drift at when it launched.
Yeah.
A few years ago. Sort of a mix of, okay, how does it run? Like, on the Ars Technica side, we're on the nuts and bolts of things. Of how stuff works and whether the frame rate is legit. And then also that sense of, okay, they seem to be aiming for someone like me who's a lapsed JRPG player in terms of an active system. And 10 hours to me is about as long as I can withstand. there's the classic penny arcade strip where it's like, oh, the game doesn't really. The tutorial's about 12, 15 hours. It was one of those jokes.
Yeah.
And that was from like the 90s, and it still counts. So I'm like, okay, 10 hours is how much I can give before I'm like, all right, I'm done. And that's kind of where I reached. I'm like, it was. Although I hear that it gets really bad later. Like with the at least the original version before it's since been patched and updated and really fleshed out.
So as a person who loved it, it's a story about 4 kids on a road trip. What would usually be Final Fantasy's bread and butter, the like gods and superpowers and meteors and nonsense. That bit, hot garbage. The human level of it is brilliant,
right.
But that's not the point. So yeah, so Sam, if you know of Sam's writing, it will primarily be from Ars Technica. And holy crud, I struggle to know where to start with introducing you for some of your big pieces.
Well, I mean, I'm not. There are people who write about games who've done it about as long or longer than me who've stuck with it. I mean, Jeff Gersman is my easiest call out.
Yeah.
Who's been at Giant Bomb forever, and has really built an empire out of that. And then we've got folks like Jason Schreier who really pounded the pavement with reporting, and Patrick Klepek.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these guys who kind of spreads it out because I don't just do games. I also do film, TV, streaming, books. Like, I'm an entertainment editor. So that means, like, I'll get games that have just come out and review them, like Luigi's Mansion 3, which I reviewed at ours this week. And I've helped out with our Death Stranding review, which is going live tomorrow. And that's all I'm allowed to say about that.
You know what? I'm looking forward to it. I've not had hands-on. I avoid watching the final trailer because Kojima likes doing this thing where the last trailer before launch just tells you what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to weird. I'm looking forward to changing my shoes. I'm looking forward to stacking my mail, go on little adventures.
You know what I'm looking forward to? All of the reviews.
I
am looking forward to tomorrow's flood of reviews.
I'm still going to sell 5 million copies.
We got some questions from chat. Is Death Stranding a video game? Yes. I think I'm allowed under the embargo rules to say that Death Stranding is a video game. Now, let's be clear. Hideo Kojima has made things that some would call video games and others would not. So I would say, if you would consider Hideo Kojima things video games, for example, Snatcher, to me, some people may call that more of a visual novel, even though it's got little D-pad shooting Amy sections. Did you ever do Snatcher?
No, but
it's a Sega CD. It was trapped on Sega CD.
I've never covered it. I've been obsessed with it for a while, and I believe it got a sweet Digi re-release.
So, Snatcher has yet to get a good way to play it on anything in English outside of the Sega CD.
Yeah.
And I have an analog Mega SG, and then I have the Mega SD. It's a way to say that I can play Snatcher on an HD TV in really, really sweet ways. But you can emulate it. I mean, wait, is it on GOG?
No, it's a wish list.
Got it. Also, someone asked, if I was writing about video games in high school in 1996, how old am I? I am 79 centuries years old.
Yep.
Century years old. No, I was born in 1981. Class of 99. I got my 20th high school reunion coming up in a month.
Back to that.
That's in Texas. Yeehaw.
So jumping back into chat, Walrus was just saying, thanks for including the envies. Honestly, anytime that we don't include them is because we have forgotten, and that's on me. Like,
I was born in 1981, so I'm the old man here. So you have
Tell us your tales, grandfather.
Back in my day, we only had half a gender.
And it was split between the whole family.
And we had to walk it through the snow.
TSCTH was bringing up the dude one. I don't tend to use dude because I always used it when referring to blokes. So I know, in California, it is a completely different colloquialism.
Well, no, but I would say that comes from a historically male-dominated pop culture. Dude gets thrown about because movies were all about the leads being men shouting out each other as dudes. Dude Ranch being a term for, predominantly this sort of Western stereotype of men running things. So yeah, de-duding, I think, is a perfectly good thing to do if we're trying to, be inclusive.
Yeah. So Sadlin's in. Then was like, wait, visual novels aren't video games? Hell no. After Doki Doki and stuff like that. It's the biting point of when it becomes a game and when it's not just being read to you. That's a fun discussion. But
Well, I mean, so Eliza is a really good visual novel that was made by some Seattle folks.
Yeah.
That is about using machine learning to get therapy. You go into a therapy session and it is automatically coordinated by computers that scan your face and your words and simply have you have a conversation with yourself.
Indeed, except the character you play in the game is a surrogate. Mm-hmm. So you're saying to the person everything the machine learning algorithm is telling you to. So it's the idea of you think you're getting therapy from a person, but it's actually coming from a computer.
But the thing is, you aren't allowed to make any choices when you are the therapist. The machine tells you what to say, and then that's the only thing you can click on. And then later, it becomes a little more interactive, where you can start branching out and saying more things to friends or to bosses. And what it does is it toys with this sense of, well, what free will really is there in terms of giving advice?
Yeah.
What does it mean when you give or receive advice? If either any of the things you choose in dialogue when you give advice, the recipient kind of does the same thing. So that, to me, I love that interactivity, toying with the true lack of control we have in these situations.
Hell
so
yeah.
to me, video game counts for that because you can't do it. You couldn't sit back and watch that in a movie. It's Eliza's going to be in my year-end list. It's really wonderful. It's not that expensive. It's pretty short. If you hate visual novels but like toying with the interactivity of the form, I highly recommend you give it a shot and don't just YouTube it. But
Very cool. Well,
we have a question from sub number 26. I'm super curious. What is you guys' definition of video game? And I think I kind of said that already. If there is something compelling where my controller, my ability to direct or be cinematographer, anything changes anything about the experience, then that becomes video game. And that can be incredibly mild.
Yeah.
Or that could be huge. But oftentimes, I will find a really compelling visual novel is more interesting than a shoot dudes in the face classic gamer game.
Well, that was weird because what I was going to put forward there was what took me off the whole Call of Duty train. Bearing in mind that, you know, it reinvented itself by doing interesting shit with narrative. I want to say it was Black Ops, one of those. But for the entire first mission, I was completely superfluous. There was no reason for me to be there, both narratively and mechanically.
Are we talking about the new Modern Warfare?
I haven't tried the new Modern Warfare.
The first mission is very much like that.
Like, I don't need to be there. And there's...
When it plays itself, you mean?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And that's less engaging than a visual novel, because at least it's... Yeah. Anyway.
I agree. No, the newest Modern Warfare absolutely starts off with a squad. And they're mostly doing the stuff. You can turn on the super high difficulty and, like, maybe potentially die. But it really, the experience of it to me is equivalent of watching it on Twitch. It really is. It really feels wanky to me.
And it's one of the few points where I will get genuinely angry at a game, is if that game resents my involvement, then I get mad. The worst game I've ever played is called 0 Degrees North, 0 Degrees West.
Okay.
It's on Steam.
I hate the title.
Yeah, the title's obnoxious, and it's written like grid references as well.
Okay.
So you have to do the little like naught to search for it, and it so obviously resents its user. Like, it's one of those titles that the person made it and went, well, it's up to you to enjoy yourself. It's up to you to find this stuff. And I'm still mad about it. It's been a year.
Yeah, we need to get you into therapy for this. And you know which way you go? A little bit north and a little bit west.
I don't have an end to that threat, but so help me!
I just realized that the thing I drew over there is not really popping up because of the lighting, which is fine. But just so we know, that is a cartoon character I've drawn for years saying spoopy is a stupid word.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were going to come on my show and start the controversial take. Spoopy is a great word.
I'm here. Hot take. Hot take ginger.
Okay, so, very quickly, friends. So we have Sam for a good few hours. We're going to play some games. We're going to talk about some games. We're going to do a whole bunch. If you have any questions, do use @VikingBlonde so we can see them. Because, Greenfire was asking have you played a game called The Letter?
I have not played a game called The Letter. I'm very bad at keeping up with the visual novels.
Yeah, kind of same. I've been... Asari's gifted it to myself, and I've been looking forward to playing it, but it's a massive undertaking. I personally find streaming visual novels to be very draining, so I can only usually do them for a few hours, whereas I can play a game and, like, I could do, like, 8 hours if I feel like it. Yeah. What is going to be funny, though, is unfortunately I think you will have to head out before then, but after today's show, joining Fiona, She's getting baked as hell and playing Dead by Daylight.
Right. Well, that's a choice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get my best Skeletor voice on and chase teenagers through the forest.
I really hope you guys survive this.
Oh,
I mean your relationship.
Run, children!
No, it's not the fear that I dread. It's the I'm freaking out, honey. That's what I see happening, and that's gonna be you saying it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So Steel Fox is going for a nice classic banger, but just saying that, Sam, what is your favourite game?
Ooh.
And not the game you consider best.
Oh yeah, best is Tetris, but favorite is Yoshi's Island.
Good shout.
Yoshi's Island came out in what do you call it? Late '90s. It was Nintendo was very much there was that. The rumors are that Miyamoto hated Donkey Kong Country. Hated the computer rendered stuff of it, felt like it missed the point of what video games are supposed to be about, the emotion, the feeling. I mean, we kind of got that with the Wind Waker. Miyamoto's dream would be everything is be cel shaded and emotive, and Yoshi's Island to me was a really nice synthesis of every game that was at Blockbuster in the United States. Was a platformer. Was a cartoony platformer that was all looks and not quite compelling mechanics. And Yoshi's Island to me said, we're going to be beautiful, and mechanically we're going to be this thing. Because there's all these little things that you can do in that game that sort of said, we're done. We are done with 16-bit platformers. It's over. We've got egg throwing. We've got transforming into stuff. We have Mario going,
Fucking child.
But I mean, I'm not saying that held up. There's advancements in platforming since then.
Yeah.
But that was right there. And then Rayman sort of said, okay, now we're going 32-bit. But yeah, that would be favorite.
Good shout.
Although also Tetris Effect in VR is right up there.
Yeah.
Because I cry when I play through that. Like it is very intense in terms of all the different audio tricks that are going on, and then a lot of peripheral stuff is happening. If you are familiar with Tetris Effect, which came out last year, it was done by the team who had worked on Rez and a bunch of other trippy stuff. Good
old Child of Eden, which was sadly one of the few good Kinect games, but it was a Kinect game, so no one played it.
Yeah, and all the stuff that you see in previews and videos of going, okay, it's Tetris with a bunch of trippy stuff going on in the background, completely different in VR because they understand sort of the way that your brain receives all of the things around while you are focused on a Tetris grid. It's ridiculous. It is mind and heart bending. And that to me says that's what video games should be. So
yeah.
And then Beat Saber's fun because then I'm whacking the music.
Favorite is Jet Set Radio, especially Jet Set Radio Future. Best game is a hard one. I love anything like anything in depth, anything meta narrative. I will say that especially the ones I've gotten tattooed on my arm have a very big point, which is, Rain Worlds. I still think is one of the best titles we've had in a long time. I absolutely loved the Hex recently because that one wasn't afraid to. It did the whole beginner's guide, but didn't pull any punches. Like it was the beginner's guide, but minus the kind of the arty farty. So yes, we've got a ton of games and a ton of time.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've got some good questions.
I like the most recent one because it's directed at me.
Deb, fucking bang it out, dude. I get to talk to you all the time. Like, this is why I like...
Oh, there's a couple. So, favorite piece that I've written, I recently got to interview Bjork about her virtual reality album.
Okay.
Which is just a sentence that I never thought I'd say. She's got a virtual reality album, and that was a real trip. I also got to do a piece on Onomonoguchi, which is a chiptune rock band based out of New York.
Those guys are cool.
Yeah, I did a feature on them for Polygon a gazillion years ago, back when they paid for longer features. You can type Onomonoguchi Polygon feature into the Google, and it will pop up.
I'll grab that for people. Let's do this.
It's solid, and they just had an album come out, a new one, which is wonderful and epic, and the kind of it bucks the singles trend in a Spotify world. The new album by Onomonoguchi. The Bjork VR album, if you're a VR expert, you might be disappointed by it because it's a little more of a beginner's virtual reality experience, but it's got some trippy stuff. It's also $30, which is a lot for a virtual reality album. It's not a game. That would be... And favorite pieces written by other people. Honestly, I feel like Patrick Klepek and Jason Schreier are just guys who I just keep on my RSS feed because they're really good at understanding how to find that balance between this is an opinionated report on BS in the games industry.
Yeah.
And also, we're going to be flat and let the facts speak for themselves. And I respect the work that they both do for their respective kind of worlds. And then another question. Sam, what's your take on the effect of media ownership by private equity firms a la Deadspin and Go Media?
How much can you talk about that?
Well, I'm part of a big company that's trying to make money by getting clicks. However, my company has a different vision of quarterly growth and wants to see all of its sites and outlets and magazines continue to be read and bought and clicked on and all of that. And a private equity firm tends to go in a different direction of what it means to squeeze value. They've got a portfolio.
Yeah.
And maybe that means they're doing some really messed up stuff because they're juggling a portfolio of different stuff. They bought a thing, and the whole valuation is, all right, we bought it for this many million. Well, we're going to make so much out of ads, and then we're going to dump it and sell it off. So, yeah, it's not great, and I think a different United States might have a different view on those sort of purchases and sales of any sort of company in terms of, okay, well, what are you doing with it? How many people are hired? Like, I think there's an antitrust angle to exploring what regulation would be good when it comes to taking giant companies and sort of not truly... bankruptcy proceedings are regulated to some extent because they're designed to maximize the livelihoods of everyone involved. The creditors and the current employees. And I think when a private equity firm is grabbing and dumping giant, not just journalism, but anything, like that's such a high level business thing that has less to do with media. I think it's bullshit when an editor comes in and says, well, we have an initiative and you're not really feeling it, and we're going to ignore the stats that actually drive numbers and drive growth and drive hiring and drive money. And, that's just stupid. That's stupid business, and that's bad for journalism in general. And the United States is an interesting country right now in terms of major political figures having feelings about quote-unquote facts. So that doesn't help.
That's a whole hot mess.
Yeah. Sam, what's the most disturbing and the most hopeful trend you see in games journalism? Good question. I don't even know what you're doing here. I'm just gonna...
Caffeine in the crew.
Hey, if you want to just go make me some tea while I talk to Chick now.
I'm more than happy to. We got hours.
So...
No.
Most hopeful and disturbing trend in games journalism simultaneously is Twitch. Because I think you're changing the conversation about what a game is. I think that it's so...
Sorry, the reason I'm laughing is because previous guest was Nathan Grayson, who said, and I quote, Twitch is ruining video games, you specifically. That is a quote I can now have.
Specifically.
Me specifically.
Oh, good. Well,
I am now responsible for ruining video games.
I like Nathan. He and I get along. I do wonder if that's some of the entitlement that we feel from our perch on a ledge of saying, well, this is how games should be talked about.
It was delivered firmly with tongue-in-cheek.
Good.
So your thoughts and feels.
Well, my feeling is it changes the access. I think the ability to understand how a game works is totally different on Twitch. It's lovely. And it also, because there's so many video games, that it's a different way to get to know them. But I think about Twitch as it's most interesting to me on the lower level of a personality driving a chat and saying, here's a bunch of games, and here's a rainbow of experiences that we will share together as friends.
No, that sounds like a terrible and bad idea. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
But the other end is that Twitch is a unfeeling behemoth corporation, as part of Amazon, that wants to squeeze your labor and not necessarily deliver something that is truly sustainable for you. And there's a whole weird myriad of how sponsorship gets involved and what is truly an honest... there's banners that say, hey, this is presented by and sponsored by. Everyone's done it.
Yeah.
But in my world, we don't do that. It's a very big... We have a big line that we have established for now where it's like, no, we did not take any money. We did not take any flights or hotels. We did get a free copy of the game to preview under an embargo, and that is laid bare, and you can take that for what it's worth, because that's its own shaky handshake of journalism and sites. But tends to be the relationship that's always been is, we're going to give you those free copies early because we want the eyeballs, even if you say it sucks. And certain publishers will fight back on that and be like, oh, you weren't nice enough to, so you don't get you weren't nice enough to Kane & Lynch 2, Jeff Gerstmann. That's a thing.
That was a whole different kettle of monkeys.
So I think that Twitch is an important thing that everybody who cares about games criticism and the conversation of what we all do with games and the broadening of the audience. People get stuck in their games journalism holes of, I'm going to play these games that are going to get clicked on and I'm going to focus on those, and then miss the fact that, like, you see Madden reviews at any game sites? Not really. Most of the big ones skip it, and it's top 5 selling every year in a big way. And those people are all in the loot box ecosystem that is Madden Ultimate Team, and we're not talking about that.
Yeah, that's been going for years. In fact, that was kicking off when I was working games retail, like before I even got like a proper salary job at Sega. And there was this one guy, I mean, it was FIFA, of course, but like he was coming in, he needed this one particular footballer from this one particular team. The dude was dropping 20 quid a day, just coming in, get 20 quid PlayStation credit. Next day, like, did you get him? Nah, 20 quid. Now, I'm hoping that person was buying with their means, but like, he bought several video games worth of content trying to get that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a whole nother rabbit hole of bad publisher practices. I like this question. Games writers should be goo at playing games. I mean, I want to be goo at whatever it is.
It is soon to be the year of our Lord Gooigi.
But we didn't. I know the guy who was playing Cuphead and who was terrible at it, and that was the video that got published. And I'm not sure that anybody in that whole ecosystem really took a breath and said, maybe that's not the first look we should have, or because there's got to be a balance. I play games not as an expert. Yeah. I can grab a keyboard and mouse and I can go into Call of Duty and immediately go, where's crouch? I know the language. And then I immediately die. Like, my job is not to be the best. It is to find that language and then know what my audience is. At Ars Technica, for example, they all know what WASD means. I can just say WASD out loud and everyone at my site would be like, yeah, I know. That's where my fingers go.
Actually pronounced Wasad.
Or if you want to be, go away. If you want to, but also you could be John Romero about it and pronounce it Esdiv. Because John Romero puts his fingers one over because...
He's John Romero.
It's because it probably has something to do with his long flowing hair. But I think any games writer, it's less about being great at games and more about finding that balance between knowing enough about them and communicating that.
Very quickly, I just want to say thank you, Doug Dakota, for joining us. One of the things that I noticed from the difference from the external good journalism versus poor journalism has usually been I am not adept at this, but I can put myself in the mindset of understanding the people who are. Because, I worked on a grand strategy game, and if you don't understand the fundamentals of something like Total War or Crusader Kings or things like that, you're just going to sit down and be like, no, this is terrible and bad. Whereas with Crusader Kings, you're going to miss out on like having to murder eunuch sons and selling people off and all the political dealings. With TW, you probably would never see one of the big pitch battles because you never play far enough to get to that. And the pacing of a lot of those games is important. Now, my personal bugbear has very much been also Rainworld. Because I played it and it was a feckin' experience. It was 40 hours and I got those 40 hours back in what I felt and what I saw and what happened. When I encountered all the reviews of it, every reviewer that went to it, which was only 2 or 3, came at it with this opinion that this is a cute, adorable platformer game and it's just going to be, I'm just going to trundle through it. It's going to be like early Ori.
Holy balls. 2 of my favourite people together.
Fueled by Coffee, feckin' thank you. Fueled by Coffee threw in 300 bits there. So, sincerely thank you. So I assume you mean Sam and River, right? Because we got River kind of chilling slightly off screen.
Two of it's 4 of your favorite balls. Wait, no, I'm the only one with the balls. Wait, what? There's balls. Balls were mentioned, and balls and then bits. I get it. They're bits. That's what bits are. Bits are male genitalia. That's so weird.
Stop that excessive clicking.
Well, that was the weird thing I wanted to touch back on your previous point. Like, when being on Twitch, there's an old rule that has been around for Twitch for so long, which is always be streaming. And it's still true. Oh, actually, very quickly, some anonymous Mother Hubbard just gifted Fueled by Coffee a subscription, which is very lovely of you. Just thank you. Sorry, there's an old rule which is always be streaming. So to do well on Twitch, you need to be going for as long as you can. What that means is it incentivizes content creators to go back in deep dive. There's no after edit. So 8 hours of, creating stuff for Twitch is 8 hours in the game. Or with me, like an hour of banter, a little bit of games, another hour of banter.
Sure.
So you're encouraged to deep dive, and we have a lot of the restrictions taken off. However, what is visually engaging for a viewer is not the same as what is engaging as a player. We played Do Not Feed the Monkeys yesterday, which is exceptional.
I'm just going to assume you feed the monkeys.
We did. We caved. I know. So you are spying on people, and you have to deduce who they are, what's going on, and then decide whether or not to mess with their environment. Great game. I had so much fun playing it. To show it to other people, especially in this style, was an absolute trash fire. Because I'm trying to juggle like multiple scenes and making sure my character is fed, watered, has enough sleep, but is working day jobs to pay, but then coming back home and spying on stuff, and don't take the creepy doll because they'll back and kill you. So,
well, what's interesting is you just said is the eternal balance we all face when we are sitting saying, well, we are paid in some ways to make clear what is entertaining, what are good games, what are bad games, what games might you be interested in, what might you not. And you know what? Strategy games don't do it in traditional press.
No.
That's why, and there's no money in a full, occasionally at Ars Technica, we will have a full-timer break time off from whatever other project they're doing and deep dive into a Civilization game. Civilization is one of those exceptions that can get clicked on, that people widely want to talk about, get into that one more turn feeling, and also complain about whatever they messed up with the hex grids and the prior editions and blah, blah, blah. But man, Total War and anything lower than that, Planetary Annihilation, no. I mean, there's just so many RTS franchises that don't get talked about. Rain World is another one where that requires such a dive to really understand the mindset of it.
Yeah.
Because that is not a game that, to me, said, oh yeah, this is really going to be worth your time after 4 hours. I was just, it didn't hit me. It did not hit me, and I just said, okay, well, I'm moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's a bad game. It means that there are 7,000 games coming out every day. And it absolutely changes the conversation, because unlike indie music or film or television, there's those worlds, even when there's so much content, there's a way to niche it out and to focus, and that there would be audiences who go, oh, I'm only into cult and horror. Well, I'm going to go to the cult and horror magazine or website or TV show and learn about that stuff.
Yeah.
But games, Twitch is better at that than any traditional media in terms of making money. You make a gaming site that's only about scary games, you might get clicks in October.
Yeah.
But not a lot of the rest of the year. You got a gaming site that's only about strategy, that'll do okay, but you've got to be part of one of these like networks. And we had that in the aughts, these sort of like gamer, I can't remember the names of some of them, but like Old Man Murray was part of one, I'm blanking on.
Oh, feckin' hell.
But that was the gaming, the pods where you'd have a whole bunch of little sub-sites, and they tried that and they just didn't make money.
No, and there is a reason why all of those people moved on either to like proper industry jobs or to found other things. Sorry, for those of you who don't know, Old Man Murray was a little hotbed of like early 2000s like editorials, which is where Chet Falizak and a bunch of other like top tier writers kind of got
Eric Wolpaw.
Yeah.
They both wound up at Valve eventually, yes.
Yeah. Old Man Murray as a site did not make a lot of money. That would not have been able to sustain them as an operation. So it is, I mean, it's something that we've kind of come to from talking with yourself, from talking with Jesse, talking with Nathan. Like, there is this triforce at the moment of the different spheres of ways in which we talk about games. And what you're talking about with the genres is very interesting, because we have genres based on how you interact with the medium, not the content. And FPS can be wildly different things. Same with like a racing game, a hack and slash. I mean, what does that even mean?
Well, you hack and then you slash.
That's what it meant! God, have you ever tried to explain Metroidvania to a person who is not versed in games? What does Metroidvania mean? Well, it's a combination. There's one game Metroid, and there's one game Castlevania.
I can do that. It is a game that encourages you to backtrack because you keep on finding little things that let you get to places that you stumbled upon but couldn't quite do anything with. So imagine a Mario game where you're jumping around, but you're always seeing something that you can't quite do. you'll get to go back to it eventually.
You've done that before.
Words?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Jumping back in. Oh yeah, numbers. How does one double jump? It's a reference. No! Like that!
That's how you double jump.
He was not expecting
He
that.
did double jump a poop out of his pants.
This is why we go to the bathroom before we start playing games. So there was another good one.
By the way, you should reintroduce me for everybody who randomly... I don't know, do people just kind of show up and come and go?
People will drift in and out. I'm joined by Sam. Sam is a long-standing writer for Ars Technica and has been a journal of both games, music, and media for feckin' hell, for longer than the N64 survived.
Yeah. Well, longer than... no, the Sega Genesis survived in Brazil for a long time. So I think, like,
Yeah.
I am... But yeah, 22 years.
Yeah. Faye was asking about more genre definitions. It's more a case of, like, our genres are not based on the content. It's... Oh, I know. I'm supposed to keep it here. Our genres are based not on the content, but the means by which we interact with them. That's why, like, loads of people have tried to start genres and it's never worked. But the term walking sim still persists. Because in a non-combat game where your main mode of operation is to walk around, unfortunately, if you say it's a walking sim but with, people go, I know what you mean. But if you say, like, it's a... I'm trying to think of some of those made-up genres, but they always drop out of my head because they're always terrible terms.
Well, it's funny because we all want that sense of familiarity.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a little fresh. I mean, that's the thing. I do not envy the job of a game PR person right now to be like, you can recognize it, but we swear it's different and spend $20 plus DLC plus the season pass. Like, no, kill me.
Yeah.
We got a good question here from Walrus Rare. Walrus Ware. If all else was equal, each interview was completely sustainable, blah, blah, blah. What sort of genre or subcategory of games would you choose to specialize in reviewing? VR. If there was money in just talking about VR and only VR, I would do that. There is not.
You'd get perma VR face, though.
The raccoon thing, yeah, I would have it. But VR to me is the most interesting stuff because it breaks open the control paradigm of using your hands and having them float around. What does that actually do? And who's doing it right? Not that many. And who's doing it wrong? A ton. And I would love to just break down every single thing that's just... and everything that gives me hope because I love the freedom of X, Y, and Z. I love that speed. That to me is so interesting. I know a guy at a company in Seattle, and I have told this person, I really want you to do this with virtual reality. And that person gave me a funny look, and I'm really hopeful. That's like the shortest version of a dream. I have a dream. I mean, the real dream would be to write about virtual reality cinema. Because that stuff is crazy, and I do get to write about it a little bit.
Okay.
But imagine putting on a headset and all of a sudden you're in a theatrical production or in something that's truly more story than it is interactive. Maybe you use your hands a little bit, but mostly it's about sense of presence in telling a story in a way that a flat screen would not. And to me, theater is what really unlocked that interest for me because I'd never gone to theater because I grew up in suburb Texas where, I don't know, maybe Hamilton gets there now, but it wasn't like that in the 80s and 90s. And then I moved to Seattle, which has okay theater. But there's enough where I wouldn't go, oh, right, sitting down in the room and having the action take place at a distance without a camera involved. And it was a lot of the stuff I saw was about the Iraq War. These people coming back from combat in the 90s and sitting on it and stewing on it and coming with stories about war and violence and American imperialism. And I watched this and I'm like, oh, this is way better than Call of Duty. Like, that was the thought I had, was I video gamed it almost immediately.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, what if you could tell a story that's like this theatrically about war? The movie Rushmore. It ends with a ridiculously over-budgeted high school production about Vietnam. And you're like, well, the joke is that would never get made because it would cost too much money for a high school and so on and so forth. But with virtual reality, you don't have a budget. You just have polygons. Like, it could look janky because you're doing it on a Quest, which is the weaker, wireless, no computer version. But, like, that to me is super interesting of going, oh, well, what if I could tell a story where the camera's frozen and you're sitting in a seat and everything's happening in a virtual stage, but then all of a sudden we can have a giant dinosaur appear right next to these actors and you get a sense of scale and go, oh, wow, that's worth strapping into a headset. I'm a kid stuck in Craptown, Idaho. I don't get to go to good theater, but I can do good theater with this $200, $300 thing on my face.
It's
that
interesting
to me.
because we were talking a lot about Sleep No More when we did Elsmore. Is it Elsmore? The Hamlet Groundhog Day game. And we were talking about Sleep No More, which is the infamous New York production of Macbeth, where the whole play is going on in real time in multiple rooms,
Right.
and it's up to you as the audience to move in and
Yeah.
observe. And I think VR can hit that nice intersection because you can do stuff there.
So that my dream would be to be able to like only focus on that, even though there's no money in it and it's very early and blah blah blah. Or I'm just gonna like quit my job and make something like that.
So actually, there's one of these I wanted to pull out.
Please.
Because you have a very practical understanding of the press machine. And the amount of times where you and I have just talked, like, just straight up, do not do this, do this, with especially trying to present your game to journos. So, what are some practical tips for indies for getting eyes on their game?
Oof, that's different now because there's too many games.
True.
There's too many games.
I mean, I'm going to steal one of the ones that you said. Don't send round a press release for your Kickstarter.
Did you know that the word Kickstarter is often filtered out of professional journalists' inboxes? That they will specifically, in fact, my spam filter just picks up the word Kickstarter now. Even I did not set such a filter, I would never do it. But there are people who do set Kickstarter as instant delete. Because what that says to people is there's nothing yet. We will have something, and journalists they're done. They're done with that sense of getting bit in the butt by putting their name.
Yep.
Once you attach your cred and say, oh, the guy who made blah 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 is about to make blah blah blah, and I, Sam Machovech from Ars Technica, have signed off, and then they start to try and take that line and put it in their thing as if that's true praise.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're looking at you, Mighty Number 9. You did a lot of damage.
I think one way if you can come up with a video that truly looks familiar yet different and sells the feeling of the interactivity, that is the beginning point. If you can come up with 30 seconds of video that says, oh, that's special, then boom. And the game Noita is one that I think of, which is in early access right now. Have you played it?
Oh, hells yes.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay, no. You do your bit, because...
And that is a game where you can very quickly have, pixelated thing walking around, that's like 5 seconds of setting up, and then all of a sudden, you can explode all of the different chemicals and elements and have all of the particles falling.
Yeah.
And I think anyone could look at that and say, oh, that's a system. Because, number one, you have to have a system in play that says, well, this is the mechanical thing that you have not done before, even though it's familiar. And then number two, it's got to present. It's got to be visual in one way or another.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're like, oh, I'm tired of 8-bit. Oh, I'm done with Flash animation. If you can present your mechanical concept visually, then that's the beginning. That, to me, is the first step that you have to have.
Yeah. If you are dealing with a title that doesn't have an easily visual presentation, find a way to represent it visually. Like, if you've got to do a trailer for Dwarf Fortress, you don't show live gameplay of Dwarf Fortress. How you show that? Well, that's a feckin' challenge.
No. But that to me is, what's that? If you as a team have figured out how to make a game that has that 30 seconds, then you might be in a play to start making money. Until then, you should be game jamming, and you should be learning, and you should be building things that fail, because the way I put it is, my job of getting paid to do things about games, it took me 7 years of being broke. And I made $11,000 a year when I was first in Seattle, which, by the way, this city does not make room for that wage anymore. But you have to come up with ways to burn through those 7 years and come up with stuff. I'm not saying that means you need to do crunch or that you need to do inhospitable things, but you have to be prepared to do the midnight oil, to have your day job where you're working some sort of crap while at night you're building something up, because it takes time and grunting through what exists to come up with that nugget, that idea, or that team. Or that sense of, oh, this is how I communicate with other people who are all introverted nerds. By the way, whoever asked, the word Kickstarter is not instant failure. It's more of a sense of, if you don't have a build for me, if you don't have something I can play, then I have nothing to say. At my job, it is about telling people, my job is not, oh, here's a quick news brief. My job is, here's a thing that's so interesting because I actually went hands-on with it. And therefore I can tell you about that. So the word Kickstarter is sort of meaningless, but playable. Chicory, Chicory, that is, it's made by a few interesting people. Lena Raine from Seattle, musician who has done the soundtrack for it. It is a Earthbound-ish kind of quest adventure dialogue thing where you use either a joystick or mouse to paint over anything in the screen at any time.
Okay, that sounds dope.
And when you paint over things, it can affect the puzzling. And that, to me, they said, here's our Kickstarter. Also, here's the first 45 minutes of the game. Play it. You're a member of the press, and you get to play it before anybody else. And that was, to me, was genius. Because what they said was, we need money, but we have a playable thing. And I think Will's going to put some, I don't know, can you link that in the chat?
I can indeed.
Yeah. It's already wish listable on Steam. And that's one way to do it. Is like, oh, here's a playable thing. And then you hand that to other people, and there's so much that goes into that. Like the presentation, the polish. Like this Chicory demo is amazing. This is clearly not, somebody didn't just load Game Maker and pound this out in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have the playable demo there, but you can see in the Steam preview of it.
You can bring us over on main screen.
Yeah. You should give it a little rewindsy.
So while you're talking about Chicory, now on screen.
Yeah. And that what I love about this is that you immediately look at it and go, oh my goodness. It kind of looks like Earthbound. And it's got all this color. Okay, we got this sort of we've heard of these people, Wandersong, Celeste, Night in the Woods.
Yep.
There's a bounciness and life. And then you see this paintbrush going around, and right at this moment when you look, you're like, wait, that's my controller. I'm the one who gets to paint things.
Yeah, so in that first, 20-30 seconds, it's all leading up to showing us our main mode of interaction, giving us a hint of the world, and showing us, the fun stuff we're going to be able to do.
It's lovely, and I can't wait for them to finish it, because clearly what we got to play said to me, all right, that's why we need this game. Because there's too many games. And if your idea is simply, it's kind of a riff on Pac-Man, where, okay, well... yeah, I guess. I don't envy anybody making games, is all I'm saying.
It is a very difficult spot. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I still have hope. For the myriad of games coming, there is... The barrier to entry has been removed, which is why there's so many.
Yeah.
And cutting through that noise is the big challenge.
I will kill the screen.
Oh, yes.
Wait, we got some rapid fires. How much does game literacy influence the decision of which reviewer gets what game? Highly. I will never review a Total War game. That would be ridiculous. There are exceptions. I went to a Microsoft Flight Simulator event because I was in Seattle, and that meant that I could go instead of us paying to fly someone else out. And at the beginning of that, I had an opportunity to play a hardcore flight simulator and knew nothing about it. I list that bias out at the beginning, and then I explain that as a total flying novice, they then put me in a real plane an hour later after testing Flight Simulator. And I actually flew the plane. And
that's the picture from Twitter, if you all saw it.
And so that, sometimes a lack of literacy can be really useful, but you have to make that bias clear. Take on the effect of media ownership. We did talk about that.
Yep.
I have not played The Plan. Maybe you did, but we'll get to that.
I did. That is not a visual novel, and that is a great example of a game that, without your interaction, it doesn't work. Even though it's short, I think it's 15 minutes for a regular person, 40 minutes for Will faffing around.
Yeah.
But without a person's interaction, it does not work. You can't just push buttons, sit back and watch.
Yeah. And then in answer to the last one, I do strongly disagree with the Goose Game. I feel like it misrepresents what it is to be a waterborne creature. I believe that it's this kind of bias that leads to workplace discrimination for people of my type who believe the water is the safe place, and the goose is going around honking, taking stuff, and that's not what we do. We, in the Swamp Thing culture, really believe that there is something to be advanced in terms of how we help humans. We love humans. Untitled Goose Game's great.
It's so good.
I actually reviewed it at ours from the perspective of the goose. And it felt really good. And what I found that in writing it that way was I got to the simplicity. I wrote it as sort of like a child, like a silly creature.
Yeah.
But that is the whimsy of the game, is that you really just cut it all down. You can mess around while solving puzzles in that game. And when you fail, it rewinds you back in a really gentle way. and it's really good, I think, for families and friends and partners and whomever else to join together and slowly work through, oh, we need to go there and use one of 3 goose buttons.
Yeah.
Okay, and we just do that in a bunch of steps, and if we mess up, okay, they knocked the veritable dominoes over, we just set them back up and we try again.
Yeah.
I love that.
The simulation resets itself so wonderfully, which actually, I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, cool, this is like, you know, Hitman minus the murder. It's all the simulations, it's the same kind of style of interaction, but it's actually better. I mean, it's got a tighter focus, there aren't as many moving pieces, but the simulation resets itself. In Hitman, you know, if you fail to kill somebody, everyone starts screaming, sorry, fish and mail,
You know,
start
people,
again.
you know, a lot of snowflakes in that Hitman universe.
Right, it's like, where?
Yeah.
I found a corpse at a fancy dinner party.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch a racing race.
Yeah, some guy just used an explosive duck on the podium.
What's up, guys?
Hey, this is a ginger room.
Yeah, sorry, this is a 3 ginger setup.
Yeah, gingers only. Dye your hair, get out.
Rude!
I was keeping this
Thank you,
one.
Walrus Rare, for linking to my review, because that's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's so good.
more page views.
I did share it around a whole bunch when it came out, so I love stuff like that. The Hand of Fiona.
Oh, River.
We talk about Goose Game. Yeah.
Honk.
Honk!
Yeah.
Now,
Honk.
I know Hitman 2 is designed to be played and replayed, and I do respect that. It's just that if you feck up trying to do the thing that you want to do in Hitman 2, you've got to start the level again. We tried dressing up. Sam's mask broke, and my cloak caused the white balance to freak out. It just turned me ghost.
I mean, there's a ton of onesies.
Tunsies.
Tunsies. Tunsies
of
of onesies.
onesies.
Yeah. Oh, that's my new Twitch channel.
Tunsies of onesies.
Yep.
I was going to say my new Eurobeat band, but that's better. That's way better. Double the gingers, double your fun.
Yeah, but still, 2 times 0 souls is still no souls.
Yeah, it's not wrong. But we are one of the few vessels that can hold souls. So, you know, if you need storage solutions... we
Yeah,
got
right.
you.
Wait, I can carry some on the way back to my place.
Yeah, just swarm them back.
Yeah.
Hey,
Fiona. Do you have any snacks?
Do I have any snacks?
Do we need snacks?
Food snacks or weed snacks?
No. Oh, no weed. No. That's. I hear
what
that's
kind
for
of
the.
snacks we
That's
talking
the
about?
channel for later tonight.
If you
That's
want
the channel for later.
No, I meant. Do you have snacks for all of chat?
For all of chat?
Yeah.
Snacks?
It's Halloween, aren't there? Shouldn't we be
Do we
doing
have
trick or
candy?
treat?
I don't have
Shouldn't we-
candy.
They have to dress up if they want.
Oh yeah.
They
That's
have to
true.
come here with pillowcases.
I feel like there's-
normal American children.
There's got to be a Twitch version of this where someone types in a certain emoji with bits attached, and then you just throw out emoji that's just candy, but they don't get bits back. There's got to be a way to just get money out of this, right? Hasn't Amazon monetized
Come on,
the cruelty that is Halloween?
To be fair, this lot have... Whenever we do very scary games, we have a special set of alerts. So if they do throw bits or whatever, they can scare the absolute piss right out of me.
That's useful.
And have done several times. We did Darkwood last week. I also find it's kind of...
I like that Dash Call has put on his face rip mask and showed up for candy.
Oh, now I'm going to get candy for Dash. Oh, it's somewhere around here.
I'm just gonna hang out with my cool white sunglasses.
No, I have to hit the candy stash.
But yes, I want to talk. But I do, since we've talked about how games get noticed. I want to
Yeah.
play. I would love for you to hand me the controller, or you could play it. One of us play Lonely Mountain Downhill.
Yes, and that was the game that you recommended.
Because that is one of these games that I went to events, and they never presented it right. And now it's free. Well, free. I'm sorry. It's if you pay for Xbox Game Pass, then it is now part of that paid subscription. And they have currently had some ridiculous promos. And I had a spare code, so this guy has a month of it now. There's a lot of decent stuff, but it's exactly the kind of game that, to me, hopefully they're getting paid. And a lot of people are saying that they're getting good sales and getting payment and getting noticed by being part of Game Pass, because folks can just jump in real quick and do a tutorial with no skin off their back other than the time. And Lonely Mountain Downhill, what I didn't like about it at a press event where they fast-forwarded to a later level, I loved in its tutorialization, because it immediately made sense to me.
I mean, from what I read about it, it's a game that shines when you ignore the path. And, yo!
Terminator 245.
It's not Christmas!
24 in just at the center since it's Christmas.
It's time to get
Do
ready
I
for
get
Christmas. I like
cookies and
what
milk?
this person's thinking. Beautiful.
TSCGH, thank you for the bits, yo.
I mean, what I would say is it is the next level of Trials. Lonely Mountain Downhill is a game for people who loved Trials and don't want another Trials sequel. They're ready for something else that has the same feeling. Hey, Merry Christmas!
Fucking god darn it! Don't encourage them.
Yeah, but you're our elf. You're a little Christmas elf. Frick! See, we made him cry, chat. Good job.
It's not that kind of.
Go turn it into a 0.
Frustration. But going back to the previous point, see, my big worry is the devaluation of games like Lonely Mountain Downhill. I keep wanting to say Dead Baby Downhill, which, by the way, friends, is not a horrendous turn of phrase. It's an event here in Seattle, which is like Mad Max but with pedal bikes.
Yes. Oh, it's the amount of fire and wooden ramps that converge upon the Georgetown neighborhood.
Like Tony Hawk's Mardi Gras.
Someone in chat, look up Dead Baby Downhill Race Seattle and post about it. It's a trip. Great photos.
Don't Google at work, though.
No, don't, and it's not safe for work sometimes.
Yeah. It's not like the naked biker race.
So here's what I would say about devaluation. The more people who throw money at Game Pass...
Destruction!
Oh, yay!
And a cutie.
The more people who throw money at something like Xbox Game Pass, the more money goes to everybody in that 100-game pool. And the blue ocean strategy that Nintendo talked about is absolutely playing out. Now, let's remember, Xbox One is low in the sales charts. But because so many more people now are playing video games than they used to, there's more people buying. Like, Microsoft is getting quarterly growth just because there are more people in more nations who are like, yeah, I got $200, I'll get an Xbox One S, or I'm gonna do that weird $20 a month subscription where like I get an Xbox and a controller and Xbox Game Pass. Like these are things that are putting more money in the pool. So it's not necessarily devaluation based on the strategy of, oh yeah, if we make it a reasonable price per month, more people will buy in. And if we get more people buying in and not pirating, which is a real thing that nobody talks about,
true,
then boom. Because all you have to do is make that convenient and say, hey, look, we've given you a legal way to access a ton of stuff, a ton of entertainment that you can easily share across your family accounts.
So, I mean, Salen's making the point that I always find with things like that is they're seeing an overall increase of sales of games per account that have the Game Pass. Unfortunately, that data only comes from Microsoft, so it's not like we can check on those.
Yeah, that's hard to audit. But
currently, Microsoft are going through the habit of buying studios and then using that to prop up Game Pass. Like, Gears 5, wholly funded by Microsoft. Undead Labs recently got bought, Ninja Theory. So whatever they create that goes on there, Microsoft has paid for. My worry is that titles like this, while we'll see an initial explosion of titles doing well from it, the Zerg wave of titles on there will kind of devalue them external. So their share of the Game Pass will become smaller and smaller, and the perceived value of their title will be less and less.
Well, also,
why pay $10 for you when I can pay... Why pay $10 for your game when I can pay $10 for all of these? Your game suddenly is no longer worth the same amount of value as this pass.
If it
That's
works,
my worry.
And the hope, on my optimistic side, which is insane, because I don't trust any giant company, is that so many more people are throwing their money into this pool who wouldn't have bought that $10 pass. So if you get $2 from a lot more people, I mean, and that to me, what it does, and that means it's different than the race to the bottom of doing a sale. So instead of having to go in and devalue it yourself and having people go, I'm just going to wait for the sale, having them all be like, I'm just going to keep on throwing money at the subscription, that to me is ultimately, ideally, to me, I like the subscription model better than, oh, I'm just going to wait until I'm going to set my alert. Steam is letting me know that the game is going to eventually be devalued, so why buy it for full price when I already have a backlog? And now a game can come out immediately and make some money instead of having to wait for the sale to then have a bunch of people come in and buy it for $1.50 or get it off of the Humble Bundle or whatever else. So I don't think there's not a clear-cut path because there's all these different ways where a bunch of people can throw in a little bit of money and potentially devalue the game.
Very true. And I'm using a potential theory from what we've seen in other subscription passes and other spheres of media. We don't know how it's going to shake out because games is such a different... I mean, I have lived my whole life hearing very, very old white dudes be like, well, in film, this happened, so this is what's going to happen. And then having them be wrong constantly and then still be in charge of me.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Walrus Ware says Deadbeat Downhill's more baller than Somerset cheese rolling. It is, and I say that knowing cheese rolling. Cheese rolling is metal as feck.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's an important thing to do. How else do you get cheese from one place to the next?
Oh, mate, no. It's a hill like this. There is a roll of cheese.
Right.
Whoever gets it first wins.
Yeah.
People break limbs.
That
It's
makes
great.
sense. That makes sense.
That's what you have in a country with the NHS. Right. Now, the other thing that I do want to mention is that we're seeing this mad shift because a lot of the discussion in games media doesn't necessarily reflect purchasing. What you were saying there about the amount of people that are coming into games about Madden. The other thing we've seen is that getting your game on the Epic Store is great. You sell shit tons.
Wait. People, that has not been conclusive. People selling shit tons on Epic Game Store.
So the War Z is the one I'm using as an example.
Oh, got it.
So the War Z, if you haven't encountered it, is vaguely based on. No, it's not the old weird DayZ knockoff that had a whole bunch of shifty stuff in it, like George Romero's son was supposedly attached to it at some point. Like it's fucking.
Right.
It might just be called the War Z. I need to get the name right on this one. They've done 3 million units. Digital only.
Exclusively on EGS.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if to look at the game, like it's a third-person action shooter from a studio that's done all right, but not bombastic. Don't you do it? Things I don't like about the Epic Store, it immediately decides to download everything ever for all time.
It's still not a great app.
No, it's got so much.
It's still not a great app.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like.
Well, also, I am the old dude who remembers the days where you simply installed a single exe and grab the instruction book to do the piracy check of whether you own the game or not. And so I don't get into the launcher battle because in my dream world we wouldn't have Steam or EGS or Origin or Uplay or Microsoft Store. I would just grab the CD-ROM and stick it on in. So
those are the mystical. So sorry, it was World War Z. Just show me the store page, you piece of. Okay, but this title was able to do mad bank thanks to being an Epic Store exclusive. Because it wasn't sharing such a competitive pool, and because the Epic Store is bringing in a whole bunch of new custom from people who don't converse with games media as a whole. Maniacal Panda, Wato friends, and anyone who's not gotten a proper hello.
I mean, I would, and I like the most Walrus Rare's comment when we talk about the wrongness of old white men. I think we're trying to, in our pathetic, entitled way, push back on the assumptions that we have held for so long that we are always right, because that's kind of an inherent thing that we forget to acknowledge. And I'm not saying that we're better by saying it out loud, but the more we say it, the more y'all say it to more other people, and that is the point, is that the more recognition, the better things are for everybody.
Hells yeah.
So that's my feeling. Also, somebody talked about Outer Worlds being a reason to get Game Pass. Heck yeah, it rules. Outer Worlds is going to be in my top 10 list for the year. It is wonderful. You haven't had time to play that yet, correct?
No.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's on the pass now, so
because it's and now you have Game Pass, so I mean, I think it's a very streamable game because you really do get XP however you want. Killing perfectly friendly NPCs, that's a path to XP. Solving quests, that's a path to XP. Being really OCD and just grabbing crap from drawers, that's however you want to get that XP, get that XP. So put on the game.
Let's get the video game going. All right, as lovely as you've been, Undertale background, let's get this party started.
Yeah. Video games. What's the over/under on this game launching in a way that actually shows up on your stream?
I do this, and then I do this, and with a little bit of luck, I can make it truly night.
Because there's LMD.
There it is. Fucking what? Yay! See, I made it work.
That's beautiful.
So, what should people know about this title before we jump into it?
You're on a bicycle.
Nailed it!
I'm gonna talk it out because to me, this game, I didn't quite get what was cool about you were going downhill. That's the whole.
Sorry.
Like if there was a what do you call it? An instruction manual.
Yeah.
The instruction manual would simply be go downhill.
Oh,
now,
bear with me just a second, good sir.
Sure.
Sorry, there'll be a little interruption of audio for just a second.
Sure. Do you want me to beatbox in the meantime?
I am entirely okay. That is.
Hold on, I can do this. This is my beatbox test.
think that's actually good. You don't like to be good at...
Well, that scared a dog, so we're done. No more scaring the puppy.
Dude, that was... Usually the question of, do you want me to beatbox in video game culture is, please, God, no. Please get off the mic.
Well, the secret, if you really want the stream to blow up, is to have me freestyle rap to a hot beat.
That is a skill I did not know that you owned.
Well, own is I lease it.
It's occasionally put on loan from the Smithsonian.
Yeah. So the instruction book for this game would simply say go downhill, but it starts out you have multiple mountains, and each mountain has multiple paths from start to finish, and there are checkpoints. You have to get to the checkpoints. And that's the only thing. And you're going to see in this beginner mountain that the trail is pretty clearly measured. You can eventually unlock different bike frames by doing other harder challenges.
Okay.
But the first thing we're going to do is simply go down the hill. That's it. Right trigger to accelerate. So you can see right there, I'm going to do left-right controls, which means it's always a left and right no matter what. But why do we need to go down that path when we can go down this?
Feckin' wee! Guys.
I mean, that's we're just going to go down the normal path. But you'll notice it immediately is like, oh yeah, there could be another path. Now notice, fixed camera. I can't see what is ahead of me. And that makes me think, oh no, I can't barely see. But the whole point is that each path you take is truly about trying over and over and finding sort of an ideal path. Also, there's no music. It is nature sounds in this really nice way. So eventually we will get to what do you call it? A nice jump. Also, I'm just gonna do that. But there's no, the first time the explore mode, there's no timer.
Okay, so this is just the first time you encounter a new hill, it's just up to you to just go on a little adventure.
So I'm gonna go ahead and because I played this a bunch, I'm gonna hand it to you and I can talk it out. So we're just gonna restart the run.
Yeah.
Because this is the tutorial.
Ring ring, Mother Hubbards.
And I have it on left and right control. If you'd rather have it be screen based, you're never gonna make this. So have fun trying.
Feckin' wee.
Have fun.
Feckin' wee. Feckin'. Oh, but no! I needed those! Feckin' wee! Feckin' wee! Oh!
There's a certain amount of real life physics that will affect your legs that you cannot. And certain bikes are actually better than others, but you did have a good shoot. There's a lot of actually really easy shortcutting to do, and then that's not it.
Fuck!
But there is sort of a bliss. Like the first thing I found I did was just follow the simple line of the brightest path, and then I occasionally said, oh well that other dirt path is a little mild, is like not quite as brown.
Sleep my guy and have like a 360 hours.
I've been asked to narrate the run by rapping.
Wow.
I don't know if I can do that. I'm putting the mask on because I don't want anyone to know that it's me. I want plausible deniability.
I have no musical skills, so...
Oh no, I could come up with my own internal beat. Okay. Watching bikes. Come on, keep running. Yeah. Gonna see a bicycle go down the hill. Don't spill. I wanna get my fill of you going fast on that ass bicycle. Baby girl, you know I like the tricycle. Get it. Put it on 3 wheels for me. Baby, you know that I wanna get above thee. Get on you like a 3-speed. You know you got what I need. I wanna touch it with your spokes, with your chain. Everything you do is on that mainframe, like a computer. Wanna type it out. Yeah, you know I'm done. I needed it.
Dude, that was fucking dope.
Sure. So what you may be noticing while watching Will play is that by not following the path, he's having a very good time.
I'm having a lot of fun.
It's really neat because it's unlike Trials where you're simply stuck
Do or do not.
Yeah, you're stuck on that path and you're just trying to be an expert. But here, this Explore version is simply, all right, I'm going to kind of figure out what each easy, normal, and hard chunk is between each checkpoint. And then from there, you then go into a challenge mode where you try to beat each level at a certain amount of time or with a certain number of wrecks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does it have that the Trialsian style of it's your score, my score, we'll score.
Oh, absolutely. The leaderboards pop up as soon as you finish this one, and you don't even get your. It doesn't count your time on the Explorer. It doesn't even. You do the Explorer, and it's like you beat it, but we don't have a time for you yet because you were encouraged to screw around. But you notice when viewers take a look when you see a sharp turn, you're gonna see these voxely dark pockmarks pop up, and there's a really nice sound effects that mixes with those to get that sense of, oh, you're doing a sharp turn and you're pushing the physics up. Now, did you update the game name on your dashboard, Will?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Because the chat was curious.
Yeah, for those who are expecting to get a free bingo square of Will didn't do the thing. Will did the thing. No, go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the game is, it's also, the game is very good at making clear, okay, gray is dangerous.
Oh!
And
My
probably,
spine!
and gray also marks a very likely giant steep drop. So you can chance it, but you probably won't.
I like to think this is a generation of downhill cyclists, and that each one that dies is like it falls to the son to fulfill the quest of the father. Fulfills the child must take on the parent's destiny.
One thing that's interesting that you don't see in the game is that you don't control the up and down of the wheels, just the left and right. So you do get some sort of sense of control where you can try and aim your front and back wheel. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on chat.
Sorry, Fiona's just giving me shite. Being like, hey, Will, try getting better. Oh! That was teeth first. Salem says to like Rogue Legacy Cycling. Yeah, or like, what was the one that we never finished below? That one.
Oh god, well that game. Oh, we all wanted that game to be great.
Yeah.
This is better than below.
Yeah. And to be fair, my luck. Oh, all right. So I can't make that. Let's stop trying.
Do you want me to take the controller over and show you how it's done, or do you like dying?
I'm all for it. Like,
Well, I mean, it's your channel.
I'm all for shameless masochism and grinding. Sorry, where's my brain at? Ah, yes.
I want to welcome Fiona to chat.
So just shout out there to.
Although I just want to point out to chat that Fiona is sitting on chat instead of showing up and giving me candy. So, you know, she's made a decision.
Yeah, that's a decision was made. I mean, you even dressed up.
Yeah.
And it has that wonderful thing that Trials did very well, which is the kind of the do you or don't you, the risk it for a biscuit. Oh, I learnt, and then I went back.
What I like about this game is it's very chill to me. You can actually just really have a fast yet chill experience following the easier paths, and then go back and get a sense of like, oh wait, how far can I drop? Where is a jump? Where is a secret? Where is a shortcut? Because the way it's set up as a downhill, the shortcuts are just all over the place.
Who wants
Yeah.
to sing?
Ah, Jeremiah Wheeler! Thank you for a host. So, a good buddy of mine. We worked together at Sega.
Oh, no.
He now works for
Ta-da!
now works for Funimation. So he's a fucking badass.
Funimation?
Yeah.
They're down. They've got people down in Texas.
Yeah,
Out in Denton, Texas.
they're always watching.
Oh,
As should you.
I used to write about music in Texas, which means I'm very acquainted with Denton. So shout out to Denton. I should just start shouting out random cities.
no!
Flower Mound. Ooh, that's, you know, I've got apologies for everyone who's out there.
Lizzie says, FYI, Dan has worked on this game. Where?
Daniel Hilvig.
Oh, okay. The term Adan has certain connotations in my circles.
You keep specifically running into that rock.
It's a really good rock.
I mean, you were horny for that rock. You were horny for all of these rocks.
So, the flashbacks I'm getting from this is actually from sitting down and playing Skate.
Yeah.
I never played any of the story or campaign or whatever with Skate. I just sit down, get a beer, put on some like Deltron or some like Jurassic 5,
Now
just sit there.
Deltron.
And just sit there, just drink beer and play Skate. It wasn't about like, alright, so I made this work last time.
Ah, yeah, look at you. Ah, no! Not the, yeah, no! The left,
Fucking impaled on a tree.
the left trigger is the brake. At some point, you will discover it. What?
Found some candy.
What?
Chat.
I win.
It's Theodora's candy.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, it's not Christmas! Don't encourage him!
Merry Christmas to the Christmas elf. His name is Will, and he's an elf. Look
Much
at
like
elf ride a bicycle, biking to his place in hell.
Just gonna give up. So is B just yeet? It is.
It's just yeet.
Yeet! We'll get some speed going and then...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second. Yeet! Yeet! The crows will eat well tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not Christmas! Yeah. Brakes are the shields of bicycles. Every time you spend braking is time you could be spending accelerating.
Now, you're eventually going to be taught that the A button is the sprint button. But you can do that now. Yep. But depending on what terrain you ride on, whatever terrain you ride on, your bar will recharge at different speeds.
Oh, that was almost. Oh. Okay, it worked the first time.
You were super horny for that rock.
Horny for rock.
You wanted to rock that rock.
Who doesn't?
Now, there are hidden paths and crevices that hide campgrounds on each mountain.
Okay.
I shouldn't have told you that.
Drowned in there. And these campgrounds unlock an emotional mini-game.
They unlock the sense of completion. And maybe different colors. But it is a kind of game where you get that... I get the feeling. It's like when you go... I don't know if you go hiking. But here in the Northwest, sometimes I go out to our beautiful valleys and mountain trails and things. And there's something to be said about the way the game enables you to kind of go off and just see what else is around. Because it is a really nice aesthetic in terms of this vector... I'm sorry, not this voxely sort of thing going on. I like the look of it. It doesn't look cheap.
Yeah.
It looks very clean. It's very easy to tell. I mean, again, the colors of each surface, to me, explain a lot.
That's exceptionally dead, by the way.
I like Walrus Rare. Read the room. Yeah, I know. He's got a beard and he lives here. Well, you do look... Listen, when I go hiking in the Northwest, they all look like him.
Yeah,
and they're all wearing utility kilts. Not utility kilts. They're wearing utility kilts, which are different.
Yeah. Utility kilt's a brand.
All right, you're going to want to sprint. Go, go,
Back
go!
Whee!
You did it.
Fucking... What's up there?
Probably your death.
Yeah, I'll do it backwards.
But also, there's different trails eventually, so I believe that's a connection from a later trail where you started a different top point. So, if you see a thing, you're like, I can't get to it. That's usually a sign that you will eventually get to it.
Okay.
When you started a different uphill point.
Walrus says, I would pay good money to still rock a kilt. I mean, aside from seeing that the beacons... Ow! That the beacons call for aid with my pale, ghoulishly white legs. I got no qualms.
God, we should have a leg off and see who's his paler. We'd probably get banned from Twitch, though.
Yeah.
Ooh, take a break, hit it. Yeah!
Yeah.
You just found the thing!
Yeah. Just contemplate how many of our
See,
generations
this is what should
died
be
to
on the
get
screen
here.
when you and I talk about the games industry.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was good chocolate. I shouldn't have given it back. I should have eaten all of it.
Yeah. You done goofed.
Oh man, you should really get your stream sponsored by that chocolate.
Right? I try.
And then bear. I do like the idea of in the blurry background, you just see this ominous brown-black shape come up and vector kill you.
I was going to be like, and then now this guy gets to sit and contemplate all the people that died in his family to get them to this point.
I would really like it if he just started texting. Just right now, just be like... And then clearly looking angry when he looks at Twitter.
Oh. Do you ever read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
In high school.
The device that they put their hands on that makes everybody miserable?
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I
I always thought it was porn, but yeah, you're right.
So the thing that I do want to say, because I do like talking to you about games industry stuff, especially about getting coverage, things like that, is that it is still worth it. Like, as an art medium, video games is one that I genuinely care about, and we get experiences like this. Like, you know, this is our little journey, our little adventure, and that's really fucking cool. Oh, my knees! Oh, Joda's heading to bed. Good night, Joda. Take it easy, friend. Oh,
I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna get it.
Kathleen's like, just go hiking in a place without bears. There are bears in New York.
Depends on the clubs you go to.
Hey-o!
They tell me I'm an otter. That's the term. That's the term.
Don't Google that, friends.
I can explain it. An otter is, kind of like a bear, but a little sleeker. Like, so kind of furry, but not quite a giant.
Small and down.
Yeah, small and down.
With grasping hands.
That's what I tell everybody.
This show got weird.
Did you rate it G for gingers?
Fucking shoulda.
Yeah, we got problems.
Yeah, so we covered it more when we spoke to Susan than anyone else, but I mean, I guess it's something that I just want to acknowledge is that, games journalism hasn't been run out of town. It hasn't been rendered useless. We haven't had the same shift that we had from print to digital. Like idiots like me and YouTube content creators and things like that have not have not removed the value of good journalism and good reporting.
Well, but it's funny because journalism is the word that gets thrown around a lot, but it's often consumer reports, which is not the same to me as someone hanging out at the White House press corps trying to speak truth to power. I mean, I love speaking truth to, like, Randy Pitchford, for example. That dude drives me insane. But
I legally can't talk about why I dislike that man.
But also, well, I mean, he's got a lot of that going on. But the thing is, it ends up being people interested in the workings of a pretty intense hobby, and there's a lot of money in it. So I think there's always something to be said about the stories about any industry where there's a ton of money that's sometimes untapped. Like, that's why... I never got there before. And so I think there is value in saying, okay, well, there's a bunch of money in a thing, and there's a bunch of human lives that are affected, which then can be easily gained in the conversation. We're like, what? Don't make it political. Well, money is inherently political, people, so if you want to really care about a giant money-making industry and think about it in any way other than what the A button does, then yeah, the conversation's gonna turn different and political and weird and...
Did you?
Never.
Make that one flower. There's a waterfall! Can make friends. Well, I don't want to bang on the drum too hard because it's something... Well, it's something we've covered very, very, very completely. But what is going to be interesting is seeing how BlizzCon this year handles.
Starting tomorrow, man!
Yup. Because Overwatch 2 is leaked and Diablo 4 is pretty much leaked.
Oh yeah, there was a whole big thing this morning on Diablo 4. Did you see that?
Oh no, I was making tea and getting ready for you.
Well, I mean, there are people who are now suggesting that the quote-unquote leaks are pretty intentional. Because it's a great way, people love talking about leaks and thinking that they're ahead of the game, and that means the conversation is about new familiar products as opposed to PR snafus.
Yeah, of which the Hong Kong, the free Hong Kong situation has ended up becoming a massive deal. Like,
well, especially because they tried to bury a like quote-unquote makeup of, oh, we're gonna actually let this person play after all, and we're gonna give them their money, and it's only a 6-month temporary ban, and blah blah blah. And you're like, yeah, but you dumped it on a Friday night, and you're trying to use this language about how streaming should only be about the game being played. And then my immediate response to that was like, oh, so does that mean you're not going to mention World of Warcraft ever during an Overwatch or Hearthstone event? Like, what point? Like, y'all love blurring the lines and cross-promoting. So you don't set a good precedent about keeping content limited. Indeed. When you get to decide when it's cross-pollinating and cross-whatever.
And what's been really interesting is just from observing both industry side and games ecosystem-wise, is that Blizzard for a long time was one of those evergreen companies. Like, if you do no wrong, their products were good, their fan base loved them to a militant level. And unfortunately, in community management, we talk about like the swinging of sentiment, right? That it isn't a scale between good and evil. Like, it's not that people either like your product or dislike it. It's how engaged they are. and that engagement swings between like and dislike. And when your most rabid supporters turn on you, they become your greatest detractors. And at a company level, the swing can be massive. I feel like they're suffering from that very much now. And coming into this BlizzCon, like, people are actively waiting for them to say something bad, to say something that will cause them to fail. I'm going to use a tiny example as a tiny example to this case, but they have Blizzard's photography policy is doing the rounds. Now, it's the same it's always been. Blizzard have special passes for photographers for like on-site photography and things like that. The cameras that you are allowed to bring in is limited unless you have a press pass and stuff like that, and the equipment you can bring in as part of cosplay is limited. But the thing is, this is being shared around on various Twitter spheres and things like that as if it is a new thing, because there is a negative sentiment running against Blizzard going into this.
Right.
The effect that this one element of reacting to this one thing that happened on a stream is rippling through. And there are a lot of people watching BlizzCon waiting for them to fuck up again. The people who want to have their new negative opinions affirmed.
Well, let's rewind to remembering that most voices on Twitter are not real people. There's a lot of robot activity out there that really has a vested interest in driving all of us into a belief that we all hate each other.
Point.
So let's all remember, what you see on Twitter is not necessarily real people, and when you see a verified or big name account, look at all of the replies that follow it. Notice how they're all like __52 _veteran for the truth _America. Like, and then they'll have these accounts that have been somehow created since 2008, but only have so many followers and only so many. It's like there's a lot of that weird stuff that has been emerging over the past few years, like much more loudly. So let's just breathe and remember that what everyone's saying is not necessarily the guiding point. We can simply have our own principles and call things out for what they are.
Very true.
So I want to be, and that's because that is what you're saying. Yeah, that's what gets passed around and then commented on, and then we say, I have a policy that I'm very careful that I don't do. People are outraged, or outrage has mounted over blah blah blah.
Okay.
Unless that outrage comes from official sources or other people in the industry or like verified folks, because it's very easy thing to fall into in the writing world to be like, ooh, that's my headline. There's outrage, but on the internet, is it? Is it real? Are these real people? Because that's really easy to game. Now, I'm not saying that that means Blizzard is somehow an innocent company or that they've done no wrong. I just like to make that point about all this.
Yeah, but bringing it forward is why I think this BlizzCon's is being so heavily observed, is that people are waiting for that to happen.
Oh, I mean, we're all at Ars Technica. We got our eyes on it because we don't know. We want to see, okay, this will be the first giant loud statement since they came out and said we're going to really control the speech of our esports competitors.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, cool. Streisand effect. Good luck. Like, how are you going to control a message at a giant fan event?
Yeah.
Do you turn off the mics at Q&As? Do you keep the camera, the main feed camera away from the crowd? Do you take signs when people come in? Like, what do you do? Because people are going to come to that event and espouse specifically for a political belief because they've suddenly become an eyeball on it.
Yeah.
And goodness, what better way to speak?
As Dash is saying, so first thing, no open mics, Q&As. It's all submitted. It's all previously submitted questions.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, that's people are going to speak on that. Yep. Who's going to shout out anyway? Who's going to get a group together to try and shout? Because you're creating this communication. BlizzCon has never, ever had something where they're like, oh, we really need to mute our community. It's like, oh, right, they're wacky and they dress up like our characters and we're all going to have a good time because there's money.
Up until this point, like, the two moments they'd had was, I forget the gentleman's name, who was a big World of Warcraft lore fan, who went to the World of Warcraft panel and went, actually, you said this in your previous lore, but now you're saying something to the contrary. Oh, Stone Turner, thank you kindly for a follow, yo. You said X at this previous one, but now you said that. And then the writers were like, oh, you're right. Herald is a great moment. There was the announce of Diablo Immortals, which was...
Well, that was last year, and that was the first sort of like, ooh. Like,
yeah.
That was, everyone looked at it and said, oh, that's not the usual at a BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And so...
it was very much a read the room. They did the similar thing to what they're doing with Diablo 4, which is they leaked ahead of time that it was going to be a big Diablo announcement, and then they hyped it up, and then it was a...
I think that Diablo Immortal reveal came from the wrong place. I think someone at the company said, we need to show this now because Diablo 4 is not ready.
Yeah.
And I think anybody else on that team would have said no, because it doesn't look like a Blizzard game. It looks like a NetEase game. NetEase can put out games that are loved or lots of microtransactions or whatever. But that was not reading the room to understand that people have an expectation of less they don't want to assume that microtransactions fuel everything. It's like Hearthstone really threaded that needle of how do we respect players but also charge them money for a free-to-play thing. And that's harder to do with something like a loot game.
Yeah.
Because, okay, wow, what's the money for? Outfits? Also, there were some fluffy questions. Preferred alcoholic beverage. I basically don't drink anymore, so I like a soda, water, and bitters because it looks brown and fancy, so I'm at the bar and I fit in. And then, is this game controller only a preferred? I would say preferred for this game, which, by the way, I'm going to quickly point out, we are now in the challenges phase where we can unlock things by beating the same course we just did in a specific limit. So 21 crashes or fewer, get a whole new trail. 3 minutes or less, unlock an outfit. So I'm going to go for this.
So Walrusware was going... Rissy found out there was a real problem with the creators of packs. A lot of really bad stuff that happened. And now it's hard to know how people feel about who to support. Well, okay, I mean, I can only comment on that one specifically, Bring the Thunder. PAX is no longer owned by Penny Arcade. That's why it's PAX. It's not the Penny Arcade Expo anymore. It's PAX. Yeah. That split was made a few years ago before ReedPop bought them. ReedPop don't own Penny Arcade. ReedPop own PAX. That's the TLDR there. I mean, how you personally feel about the Dick Wolf scenario is... I'm not going to dissuade anyone from being annoyed or angry about that one. All parties involved have made a lot of statements after the fact, because it has been many years.
Oh my, I was about to say, how long has it been since they Dick Wolfed? Yeah.
But as someone who's had to deal with a really, really shitty individual who has not taken account for anything that they've done, I'm not going to tell someone not to be mad about something that's genuinely upset them to that degree. Oh, you tried!
I tried to go for the big one.
You can tell I'm being loud.
That's actually a nice shortcut right here. I can make it. Come on.
But yeah, all I can tell you is that PAX is not owned by Penny Arcade. And, you know, I've gotten to meet Mike and Jerry a couple times. Jerry's lovely. Mike never remembers me. It's fine.
That's on brand.
It's on brand. But, you know, the team that works over there do real hard work. And it's not just the comic strip of those two. In fact, everything around it gains so much genuine heart that it's become more than.
I'm curious how they're doing, because they pivoted to the Twitch, and they do a lot of Twitch.
Yeah.
And I think they're making money from it. I don't know.
C-Team makes mad bank.
Well, and I immediately go to the money part as opposed to like, the death.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were touching on this earlier, but like, as I'm a person with no like allegiances to platform. The reason why I'm...
Oh, you're switching to mixers? Sweet.
How to go...
Guys, big news!
How to die from starvation in one simple step. No, Twitch as a platform just makes it viable to actually live on here, so I'm cool with that. But yeah, C-Team and their Acquisitions Inc. stuff has a huge following because it's good. And I think that's a large proportion of where the stuff comes from. You know, they stream almost every day, and the...
Wrong way. Go back. Oh, you can't...
It doesn't have to be the wrong way. No. Every way is the right way if you believe in yourself.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like Sailor says, Robert Koo left PAX several years ago. Yeah, like, fucking hell.
I wonder what he's doing.
He's been doing stealthy consultancy for a lot of people, but he's not put his name to anything. I mean, in fairness, like, he made...
Are you saying that he's plotting a secret... Are you saying he's plotting a secret... coup?
Yeah! Do-do! Too cool for school. I have no idea what Robert's doing. I got to talk to him my very first PAX, and he was feckin' cool people. Even though I was like an industry green bean, treat me like a pro, and...
Oh, you're my favorite industry green bean.
Oh, I like to think of myself now as the games industry's premier dumpster fire. Like, I'm still here, just a little bit charred, a little bit Oscar the Grouch. But yeah, so he hasn't officially moved on to anything major. He's just doing consultancy for people here and there. And I think it's mostly just he helps out friends because he can. Yeah. And Solon's saying that they've missed Koo. We all do. But I think that part of the reason is that he's now just taken time to be... Because he lived and breathed that job for years.
Well, he had to, because those guys were such idiots about business, which
Oh,
they
God,
admitted
yeah.
very flatly. Signed away the rights to their strip twice, I believe.
Yep. One time to a fecking greeting card company.
Well, you know, somebody's got to come up with funny cards for games. All right, I just unlocked you a trail.
Nice.
Woo! Sports! Sports!
Oh, sorry. Reflective. Watto.
All right, now let's see how I'm doing on your leaderboards.
Yeah, Robert Who does deserve a hero's retirement.
All right. I got you to... Oh, I want to get my filters up. Where's the change filter? I want your... Can't I just do it with your friends? I'm trying... You don't have any friends. That's why it's not loading that.
I don't have any friends who played this.
Yep.
Good night, Megu. Menu.
And now you can try... Now you can free ride down another trail. Well, I make sure I haven't been fired from ArsTechnica.com.
So yeah, it turns out all game journalism has been cancelled.
Again? Bring me candy! Oh. No, my reception is terrible at your house. Hey, why don't you tell me your Wi-Fi password really loudly?
That sounds like a great idea.
I bet it's butts.
Ah, check it out.
Are you F Yo Couch? Is that yours?
Lamentably, we are not F your couch.
Because there's Fuck Yo Couch. There's No Touch. My favorite is searching ... as a Wi-Fi point. That's pretty good. Junk Bucket. You know, it's funny because in different parts of chat, I'd love to hear the weird Wi-Fi SSIDs that you have stumbled upon in your life, perhaps in your apartment complex, and or your least favorite ones that you see all the time. I'll tell you my least favorite. Hide your Wi-Fi, hide your kids. I would love to never ever see that phrase happen again.
I'd be okay with that.
We got some numbers. 26 says my Wi-Fi network is called Get Off My LAN. I'm gonna tell Jerry. Is it Jerry Land or Jerry Ian? FBI surveillance fan is another least favorite of mine. I could do without ever seeing that again. That's my feeling. I'm controversial. Hot takes. I also don't like spoopy as a word, which I already said.
I'm gonna say it. I still like Pretty Fly for a Wi-Fi. That'll still get like a ride.
That's
short
another
out of
one
me.
on my least favorite list. So you know, I'm here to create anger. Ooh, John Wilkes Bluetooth is pretty good. Dashcal or Dashcal BRB renaming my Wi-Fi spoopy FBI band. Good call.
Strong innings. Oh.
All right.
So this is same game, new trail.
Send game new trail. Oh, you gave yourself your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your red.
Dead. Yeah, I got the red going.
All right, I did not get fired.
Hooray!
So yet.
Has there been like massive games industry news we've missed? Aside from Diablo 4 leaks.
I have been told about a thing that I get to review.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to say, yes, I agree to. This is me doing games industry work.
Yeah, this is how it happens. I will say it's been interesting as this operation has grown, and we've done a few like sponsored streams this year, which have been really interesting, and it's been curious seeing the industry from that side, because I'm on the GDC press list, so I get Oh, myself killed down a mountain. On the GC press list, after Fafnir... Oh, no, wait. No, I want to go that way.
I got to
Sorry.
interrupt because the best Wi-Fi network of all time, which I might change mine to, is it burns when IP.
Oh, that's feckin' brilliant.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Also, neighbor from Australia was LAN Down Under. And since Will's from Australia, that's really nice.
I will inform the Queen. Blood will be spilled.
That's my favorite thing to say when you're drinking. Because I do sometimes drink, and when I do drink, I like to go for an Elijah Craig neat.
How is Elijah Craig doing these days?
You know, they make a smooth whiskey.
Not dead.
Because
Not dead!
Ah! Walrus Rare says, Sam, tell us about yourself. Well, I play video games, and I used to play the drums, and I really like beatboxing in the shower. Like, I really like it. If I'm in a really good mood. Oh, you should have jumped it!
Crunch!
Different jump. And I really like riding a bicycle in real life, but I don't like wearing stretchy pants.
No one does.
So you got to find that balance. Like in Seattle, I live not too. We're not too far from the Burke-Gilman Trail, which is a smooth, not too uphill, not too downhill way to ride a bike between the north end of town, all the way to the University District.
I totally understand the bicycle terms you just used.
The University District is also known as the U District.
It is.
It's got a place called the Ave that our good friend Sir Mix-a-Lot referenced in rap songs in the 90s. He also wrote a song called Tossing on Broadway that was about hanging out on Broadway in Capitol Hill and going to Dick's and getting burgers.
Dicks for dues. If you come to Seattle and you don't gobble dicks, you're just doing it right.
Yeah. So I gotta say, Dick's is a burger chain here that's got a few locations. It's wonderful. Everything's affordable. And then also Will isn't following the path because he never follows the path. And the game encourages you in some ways to try and break the path. Kind of like some downhill bicyclists might do in the real world. However, Will also likes to die, and that's different from real life bicycling. So, I used to, when I lived in Dallas, Texas, work at a burger place that no longer exists, that was sports themed, and had baseballs and basketballs and footballs on the wall. It was so the place was called Balls Hamburgers. So I worked at Balls, and then I ate at Dick's.
That was a long walk for a short drink.
Listen. I got to tell everybody in my life that I worked at Balls. I also have a friend who has he made a puff paint shirt of puff painted penises, and I went with him to Dick's once, and he posed with it, and it's probably the best photo I've ever taken.
God, this game is absolutely absorbing.
Yeah, see, it's got a nice feel to it. I don't know how it is in terms of watchability, like if people get into that. But I do think the ability to kind of wildly explore and crash is fun to watch. And then occasionally you'll be like, oh, I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit that shortcut or hit the whatever. But you do notice it is a beating to go on different colored terrain.
Yeah.
It really does punish you. You should just do it. In the game. I think you're a wonderful man.
So I'm about to say, savage! I'm not that bad at cycling. I am that bad at cycling. Heck, that was a bad Derek! Sports! You're good at everything. Weddings, irony, art.
It's the voxel blood that just explodes like that I really like, because it happens quickly enough to even if you like die and retry, you still get that nice visceral boom.
And it's got more to it than just being a disgusting collection of memes like Happy Wheels.
But it is, you get the accelerate, brake, and boost, and that's it.
That's it.
Oh, and left and right. But without up and down, it's really good because when you're doing all this stuff, whatever wild stuff you're doing, whatever hill you're going on, you don't have to adjust up down. It's pretty good at managing the up down automatically. The left right, on the other hand, you've got to kind of nudge and get right sometimes. But there's a really soothing feeling to it, and it's one of those that I just kept on just skipping and not playing or not caring about, and then just because it was on Xbox Game Pass, I totally went for it.
Yeah.
So. I also have the game streaming stuff on my phone.
Oh, check you
But
out.
it only works on certain games, like Halo 5 and Killer Instinct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Back in Wii.
Good job.
Thank you, thank you. Well, one of the things that's really interesting is when you think about how you interact with the world in Trials, like it is really just about accelerate, brake, and up and down. Like left and right is removed from, and this, you know, I mean, why would you need to do sick wheelies?
Well, I do want to do sick wheelies all the time.
I'd
not
like
just
to
in this
sick
game.
wheelies, but
Make the jump! Make the jump! Make it! Yes!
yeah, sick tricks, sports, back and way. Ah,
Oh.
nearly sweet.
I like that someone in chat did soothing feeling in quotes as we scream and die. But there is something to be said when you get into the flow state of a nice run. That it does have this sort of soothing feeling of like, oh yeah, I'm swerving back and forth, but it feels like sort of beautiful nature and not like I'm about to die.
Yeah.
And then you can also choose to go crazy and go for shortcuts and die over and over without being punished.
Yeah, it kind of gives me some, the little gives me this... Do you ever play Race the Sun? It gives me a similar feeling to that.
God, I haven't played that one.
I still play it. It's just, because it works on every piece of hardware I've ever owned can play that. And it's just left and right, that's it.
Yes.
Make your couch? Oh. Meant to be a little more liberal with the accelerate. So I guess what would be interesting is to see is like how can you capitalize on something like that's where I'm gonna be going. How can you capitalize on something like Microsoft Game Pass? How can you turn it into a viable business model?
By being at the scale that Microsoft is at and having it be
I meant for so like
as a smaller maker.
So Will and Sam operations. We have the chance to get our game onto Game Pass. You know, it's been on Steam, it's done all right. But
Dude, our company's called Ginger and Ginger and Ginger.
yes,
And it'll be each of us holding little ginger cubes in the photo. And you'll be dressed up like an elf.
I was on an adventure. I flipped the bike. Why am I like that?
It looked real.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So we get the opportunity to take our game onto Game Pass. By my understanding, at the moment, Microsoft's offering like, you know, we will pay you X amount of cash for you to put your game on here.
Yeah, I don't know if
you're not studio owned, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a flat fee or if it's a percentage of downloads or WTF. But there's something. There's some sort of consideration.
Yeah. So let's assume purchase rather than percentage of, just because that currently makes the most business sense to me from Microsoft's standpoint.
I mean, I'll tell you what I would try to do if you and I were starting a games company and trying to just make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We'd convince Google to put it on Stadia, and then we would relaunch when Stadia falls apart.
Yes. Use that Stadia money to make a build.
Because, God, do any of you in chat have a sense that Stadia is in any way interesting or up your alley? Because I've yet to find anybody who's like, oh, hey, I will get random questions from people. Hey man, what's this Game Pass stuff about? Hey man, what's going on with the Switch? Just these sort of outsider what are games. Yeah. I have yet to have anybody say to me, oh, what's Stadia about? Is that a thing? Nobody seems to even know about it or care.
Yeah, and when you consider it's Google, and they control most of the information of the world, that no one cares about it is
I watch
very
a
telling.
lot. I watch a lot of gaming content on YouTube. Not a single ad that it exists.
Yeah.
Not one.
Like,
So, you keep going through this path.
yeah, because I made it work once, which means it must be workable. Stooge! What, old friends? Welcome! Tiny Raid! Tiny Raid! I mean, the thing that we're all talking about is, as anyone who's done online gaming, getting... Oh, that did not work. Getting decent, stable connection for just regular multiplayer gaming is difficult. To then make that the main crux of whether or not your experience is good, that's worrisome. See, the first time I did it, I had great momentum going through there. I think I've just got to admit defeat. I need one more shot.
Admit defeat doesn't sound like you.
It doesn't.
I like that you keep going through that path that says take a break, like it says, hey, you did it!
Woohoo! Now don't try and go up the downhill.
Die.
Back in. Whee!
Die.
Oh, come on!
Oh, man, you gotta aim the jump. That's what we do in swamp culture.
That jumped up. Yeah. So
We all in the Swamp Thing world do sick wheelies all day, every day.
that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, was to talk about swamp culture. But yeah, games industry side, everyone's like, you know, this isn't a virtual machine. You've still got to port it to Stadia. So,
Which seems odd. Seems like that shouldn't be a thing you have to do.
yeah. Now there are some crazy fun theories, like maybe Google's predictive. Oh, come on! Maybe Google's predictive input system is actually going to make it viable. Personally, just being told that that's a thing that would be on a system I'm playing would infuriate me.
Here's a theory, or not a theory, but here's a question I have. How much do you think issues with Stadia are the reason that Doom Eternal got delayed? Because Doom Eternal seemed pretty together at E3.
Well, actually, this is the conversation we've been having this week, and I'd love your input. Why is everyone bugging out of Q1 2020? Because now, and Stadia was one of the possibilities. There's a theory that people want to avoid Stadia because Google might do a last-minute big marketing push and would just drown the feck out of anything else that would be coming out around that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, delaying a game to me is just some sort of strange science. Although Ubisoft, you did it! You did it!
I did it!
Die! Don't die.
Come on!
I just said not to die.
Sorry.
You were really bad at instructions. But I don't, I think I would honestly say
Done with that part.
the March delay for Doom Eternal, I don't really think has anything to do with Stadia, but gosh, if it did,
That would be so
that
funny.
would be such a trip. But
Stadia ruins video games.
I just don't.
That's a headline.
I don't get it. I don't get what the sales pitch is. And now that I've been playing the Xbox X or Project X Cloud,
It's pronounced xCloud.
either way, the spell. I mean, it's got the stupid Juggalo spelling where the first letter's not and the second letter is capitalized. And,
Oh my god!
and I'm
It's
down
all
with
Juggalos.
I'm down with the clowns, but spelling's got to be consistent, y'all. Oh, I've just been given a proper introduction of you.
Well, how I broke my feckin' hand.
Yeah.
They love sharing that.
Well, I mean, hey, chat. If you guys give 10,000 bits, I'll break his other hand.
No! This is the US. That wouldn't even barely cover.
I mean, no, I take it back. I take it back. Because it would cost me more than that in order to deal with the legal fees. So, if someone wants to work out the Washington state laws about how much I would have to pay to go through bail and law proceedings, and then want to give that many bits times 2, and I believe your math, then I will consider doing it. Consider doing it. That is not binding.
This is not a legally binding discussion.
They're just gonna clip the part where I said that and not the part where I said no.
Yeah. That's what they do. They're terrors. I love them all dearly. Ah! Much like I feckin' like this hill. Wait, no, what's that other thing? Tree!
Watch out for that wind.
The thing is, the reason why there's no bear attacks is that, honestly, the bears on this whole mountain are so well fed. They just find, like, 20 cyclist corpses on the daily.
Just corpses with little ponytails on them all over the place.
Yeah. Like, why are there so many of them? And, like, dude, you want to question it? This is free food.
By the way, don't go crying for Fiona's help in terms of me hurting Will. She supports me fully in the mild pain side of things.
Oh. That leg's not supposed to go there.
Well, you did that.
So yeah, I can't work out why everyone's bugging out of Q1. Some people have said like it's the big launches, so like Final Fantasy VII, and there was a couple other beastie ones.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is a big one. There's also just the fact that we're in a weird middle. I don't know how this is gonna work. Like, we don't quite know PlayStation 5. What's gonna happen? Are they just gonna cut it off and only stuff made for PS5?
Yeah, are they gonna do the more traditional launch where it's like new console, new titles?
Well, it's like, are they because Xbox Scarlet has been very loudly backwards compatible like crazy. Your old controllers are gonna work. Your old games are gonna work. The new games will be backwards compatible somehow.
Yeah.
They're gonna run at like 480p, but they'll work.
Reflective
something.
says Blizzard goes Stadia exclusive.
No, I mean, that's not. I mean, I'm still waiting for Epic to do something insane. Who knows what Epic's gonna do next?
That's why there's so much fun.
Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe they come out with a machine. I honestly think the Epic Games Pass is going to happen by next year. I think by November 2020, there will be an Epic Games Pass.
I guess whether or not that happens is really whether or not Fortnite can continue to generate the same amount of revenue it has. Because Fortnite's not an evergreen project.
Well, that's why they started EGS, so that they can start making money off of other things. And again, they're also making hand over fist over the fact that everything is made with Unreal Engine 4.
Yep.
Japan went for UE4. That was, to me, the turning point. Because that is once one company does it, then the culture, I mean, it's such... Japanese game development really is about the culture, understanding, loyalty, these sort of business deals that are about family and sticking with each other. Like, that is no small thing talking about. So for UE4 to get accepted by a lot of Japanese studios means that they're good. They've got that kind of license royalty party to live off for a while. And so, yes, Fortnite's going to shrink.
Yeah.
But that's inevitable, and maybe by then they'll have another game.
Quite possibly. I mean, much like CSGO and stuff like that, Fortnite's now part of culture. It will be around, but...
There is no way that $212 it would be enough for me to break his hand. So, thanks for trying. Now, if you mean $21,000, then we can talk. Because if you want to drop... If someone wants to drop $42,000... Yeah, I was going to say... That's still, yeah, that's 4,200,000 bits, I think.
You know, that would fund this operation for years.
Yeah, so maybe if I break your hand, you'll just, get over it.
Mate, I get like back alley fixed, and then just like that would just be now the long ship is.
But here's
eternal.
the problem: there's no duct tape in this house, which we learned because I tried to.
Why are you gonna be like this? We found tape. It wasn't the tape that you wanted.
It was not the tape that chat wanted.
It was the tape you deserved.
I like that chat said if they had $42,000, they'd just give it to Will not to break his hand. I don't like anybody in your chat. Nobody here is supportive of dreams. I'm just kidding, chat. Y'all have been lovely. And thank you for supporting my clear teasingness. Oh.
Oh! Died with this bomb in the air. That's some Greek myth shit right there.
Greek myth shit. GMS.
Whereas we're saying back alley friend sounds like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It could be both.
Ginger and ginger and ginger.
Ginger and ginger and ginger. Esquire. It's also our legal firm. This game is wonderful and reminds me of why EA's upper management is monstrously incompetent consistently throughout the last decade. Why hasn't there been a Skate Eternal? Why hasn't there been like a Skate? Just like what they did with their weird ass like rich people snowboarding game. Why isn't there that?
I mean there's some
Skate.
I have some questions just on EA Origin to me, or EA Access or whatever it is, where you pay per month. They talked about doing the stuff that Xbox Game Pass was doing, but they would have like one indie game come out every 9 months.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to cut it. They really should have started partnering with studios that exist and having stuff like this come out and make you go, oh, it's only on EA Origin. It's only so much a month. Oh, it gets me the big games and the little games.
They've got the cash for it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, is like, EA's not hurting for monies. It can be easy to look at like the
Nice win.
Not actually dead.
That would have been sweet if there was a secret button where you could leap off of your bike, strip off your clothes, and swan dive in.
I would love to.
I need that cheat code.
I would love a when you push the kind of the I give up on life button in this. I'd love it if it still followed your corpse about. It needs a little bit more of the old Unity physics. I'm not done yet. It would have worked if I hadn't bashed my head in.
I want to say,
what we would've done.
you do have a very loyal chat. They have been spending a lot of time making clear that I cannot hurt you. And
Okay,
and that they would show up in real life and hurt me.
No, they are an exceptional lot, and I mean, Affine in chat was the one that bullied me to get my hand X-rayed when I swore blind for weeks that it wasn't broken, it was dislocated.
Ooh, you almost got to a spot there.
Almost did. Shield. I have been watching.
And chat, I think chat should understand, but I have yet to actually try to physically hurt Will. Emotionally, on the other hand, man, I go.
Oh no, for emotional damage, they're with you.
Whoa! That's a fucking shortcut, man!
Yes!
Look at that!
Done and done. So pass that pad. As it's hit the 2 hour mark, would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah,
Have you got tea or coffee?
I'm gonna get going off of chat in like 20 minutes, but I will absolutely take either. If you've got coffee, I'll take it. If you've got tea, I'll take it. Well, I'll sit here and I'm going to talk to chat. First off, I'm going to talk to chat about my favorite games of the year because
Yes.
I'm working on my year-end list, and that is missing a bunch of things.
We're going to do ours as a big group thing, but what I want to do with... Oh, I guess I should tell you lot, because I came up with this yesterday. We're going to do 2 sets of awards. We're going to do ones that we feel were, like, personally good experiences. You know, this was fun to play and this was good. We're also going to do, like, a little short list of, like, this game did great in the industry and here's why.
Yeah.
Here's the game that sold shitloads that no one knew about. Here's the game that sold shitloads and everyone expected. Goose Game.
Yeah.
Here was the surprise industry move from left field, and here was the biggest faceplant of the year.
Yeah, yep.
Um,
Well, I'm just going to, while you walk away, leave the door open and you can hear me say this, and I'm going to rattle off my current unnumbered top 10 list. I really should have this alphabetical. That would make life easier.
and yet,
Yeah.
what came to mind first is very telling. It's.
I like your chat did make clear if Will has T, LOL. Because, of course, he's got T. Basically, what I meant was whatever's easy. I'm a simple man.
These lot have been so lovely. They've sent care packages of tea to the point where Fiona's like, if we get any more fucking tea in this house, we're gonna die.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna drink it. Also, please keep sending tea. It's hilarious.
All right, so, chat. 2019, a lot of video games. Yes, too many video games. But in terms of what I have played, here is... Uh-oh, did I delete something? I think I just deleted something from my list. I'm trying not to delete actual things. Nope, I didn't. So, alphabetical, kind of, sort of. Control by Remedy. It came out a few months ago. It is absolutely... Hey, Will, watch out for mountain sharks!
There's no such thing as mountain shark.
Well, he just said there's no such thing as mountain sharks, and clearly he's not on your side. Control by Remedy is the X-Men video game I wish had existed for a long time. And it's finally been patched enough to where it's playable on console. So I recommend, if you can get on Control, do it. Next on my list, alphabetical order, not numbered, Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is an incredible story-driven RPG where everything happens in pretty much a pretty small town with a lot of the same people, and you keep going back and forth and interacting with everybody. And everything's a dice roll. And combat kind of just works out as conversations. It's wonderful, and it's wonderfully written, and there is no interactive thing like it this year. And then we have Luigi's Mansion 3, which came out today. I reviewed it at Ars Technica a couple days ago. It is wonderful. It is the most beautiful game on Switch by far. I mean, Link's Awakening is quite pretty and has a nice style, and they really did some cool stuff to render it well, but they could not make up their mind on 30 frames or 60 frames a second, which drives me nuts. Luigi's Mansion is 30 frames a second with every effect cranked up. Super amazing. 100% recommended. And on top of that, it is just a wonderful puzzle platformer. Every single thing you can do inside of it takes the stuff from the other Luigi's Mansion games and really opens them up in ways mechanically that I always wished the other ones, both the original on GameCube and Dark Moon on DS. No, Octopath Traveler is not the most beautiful game on Switch. You have to see Luigi's Mansion 3 for yourself to understand. The animation on Luigi himself, let alone all of the ghosts and Ghost Pup, is just stupid. It's stupid. The screen space reflections are unlike any I've seen in any other console game. And I mean that in terms of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. They really nailed what screen space reflections can and should be, because that is kind of a fake trick that's done to do reflections that aren't quite real. And then the material-based lighting is stupid. I don't know how they pulled it off on a Switch and kept it anywhere near max resolution. It's not quite 1080p, but it's close. So there's that. Next up in alphabetical order, Hypnospace Outlaw. It's kind of a weird interactive visual novel. Hypnospace Outlaw is next on my list.
Fuck yes.
Which is...
Fangamer do a I stand with Gooper pin, and I want it.
It's just the best video game about pretending to be on the 90s internet.
Quickly do us a quick run while the coffee's pouring. So what have you said so far?
I got Control, Disco Elysium, Luigi's Mansion 3, and now Hypnospace Outlaw. I'm doing alphabetical
So I
order.
finally got a copy of Elysium. I've also got a copy of Control. So friends, what we might have to do, because Control isn't a game I'd usually do a whole day on, because it's... I've watched a lot of people play it, and it does fall into a combat rhythm, which works very well as a player, but maybe not as a viewer.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it seems it's going to be one of those games I might need to finish for how it lays its narrative out. So friends, we might have to just sit down on a Sunday and just beat it together. Like, no witty banter, no clever talk.
That sounds
just...
gross. Guys, we need to sit down on Sunday and beat it together.
I invited you into my home!
To beat it with you? Is that what's happening?
I mean, if it's not, then I'm taking that coffee back.
All right. So yeah, Hypnospace Outlaw is you using the internet in an alternate version of the late 90s. And it's great. Because it is such a unique treatment of gaming as an art form. And then we have the combination of Outer Worlds and coffee. Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds, different games, similar names.
I feel so bad for the Outer Wilds team because
They existed first.
They did, but Outer Worlds has ended up getting more of the gaming mental space.
Oh, they're both gonna be on every good list by the end of the year. Outer Wilds is essentially a freeform, crazy exploration thing that was inspired by, but is in no way related to Mass Effect. I feel like it has this sort of sense of exploration and discovery and wonder that you just don't see in enough games. It won a big indie gaming award called the Seamus McNally Prize a few years ago, and then Annapurna Interactive gave them money to actually finish it. And then Outer Worlds, it's on Game Pass, so if you haven't claimed the free trial or $1 for a free month, just do that. And then other stuff on my list. I have Mortal Kombat 11 on my list. I think it is really good. It's in terms of being the Mortal Kombat game that finally doesn't feel wooden. That has a whole lot to do. I think their microtransaction stuff is garbage. But there's so much playable good stuff without paying a single penny in there in terms of either the single player ridiculousness and the terrible voice acting of Sonya Cage. But also multiplayer stuff is really good and their netcode is solid. It is a good 2019 video game for the fighting. And then we have Resident Evil 2 Remake, which came out super early this year, but holy cow, was that everything it needed to be to explain why we needed Resident Evil 2 again, in terms of remaking, rebuilding, having multiple quests, having alternate extra crazy challenge modes, and just being just top-of-the-line rendering. If you own a ridiculous computer, you should get Resident Evil 2 Remake. You should also get Control if you have any ray tracing on your system. And then Remnant from the Ashes, which is absolutely the best looter shooter of the year. Destiny's pretty close, but I would say, Destiny's been out forever, even though they keep re-releasing and redoing stuff, and it's solid. I still think Remnant is a better looter shooter in terms of feeling new, in terms of feeling exciting, and also being really accessible. You just jump right in, and you don't have to go through a whole bunch of crazy hub worlds. You're going back to a simple village, and then through randomly generated crazy worlds, back to a simple village, crazy worlds. Really good. And then I don't know what I picked for my final pick. That's 9. And that's where I'm really stuck, because a lot on my maybe list is a bunch of stuff. Because here's the rapid fire. We got Super Mario Maker 2, Untitled Goose Game, Dicey Dungeons, Risk of Rain 2, Metro Exodus, Neocab, Eliza, Blackout Club, Void Bastards, and maybe Gears 5. But those are like all the candidates for number 10 on my list. Because that's how crazy a year it is. Like Untitled Goose Game for some people is a definite pick on their list. And there is some really good stuff. Risk of Rain 2, darned good.
Yeah.
Blackout Club is doing shit,
So as Miyaki Sakura put in, I had Resident Evil 2. That's one that I mean, with you lot, I want to have a big sit down and talk with, because it's...
By the way, cheers.
Cheers to you.
Hey! Cheers.
Cheers all, friends. It's a big reworking of a classic, but while thematically it's very similar, mechanically and how you experience it is just night and day. Mm-hmm. The Mr. X, the first time he goes through a door, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
The first time he follows you into a save room, it even takes your understanding of what you think Resident Evil is and flips the script on you.
I mean, that is but that's the beauty of, like, any good horror film series that comes back. It's taking the familiar, the same bad guy, sometimes the same name, and a really effective horror remake takes those things that you find familiar and says, okay, well, we're going to scare you that way, but not the way you think. And it nailed it.
Sam Raimi's last version of The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, that made... I still...
Yeah.
Don't do that as a date night movie, friends, let me tell you.
But my list ignores... There's so many games that are nowhere near my list that I haven't played. And it makes me sad. And I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Dublin in a few weeks.
Nice.
For the heck of it. I've never been.
Way cool.
So, I'll take your tips.
You're gonna have a
Chat, where should I go if I'm in or near Dublin for 2 weeks? I
Yeah.
can fly wherever and do whatever.
While those are coming through, because I think, Steel Fox, who was in earlier, who was asking about like getting coverage for their indie game, because Steel Fox is moving into that space.
Right.
I believe they're island based, and they had to go early.
Oh, DMC5 did come out this year. Meow Kitty Sakura.
And DMC5, it always feels gauche singing the praises of a title that's been going as long as DMC, but it was fresh, it was fun, and in a deluge of games that... A deluge of AAA games that didn't seem to exist for any reason than to make money, DMC5 felt like... It felt like that team just got to have a fun lap.
Now, I will say, though, I prefer DMC Devil May Cry. I'm that guy. I am that one guy, and everybody else thinks I'm an idiot and an asshole. Because there are a lot of people who did not like DMC Devil May Cry, but I loved how its combo system worked, and a lot of people called its combo system trash.
Yeah. Well, so Stepagen says, what about Apex Legends? So this is why I wanted to do industry awards as well. Apex Legends is the little engine that told everyone else to screw themselves. It was EA didn't want it to win. No one wanted another battle royale game when it came out. Everyone was already done with the genre, and Apex Legends just went, "This is us. We're out right now."
They should have delayed Anthem and just let Apex Legends take that slot.
Well, but this is the long-running thing of, for some reason, and I don't know, because I don't know anyone at is it Respawn that does Titanfall?
Yes.
I don't know anyone at Respawn. I don't know anyone at EA. So I don't even have like a friend EA knowing for this. But EA has repeatedly tried to sabotage Respawn, even though they're the same publisher. Like, they made Titanfall 2 go up against Battlefield 1. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's a whole mess.
yeah, and for this one, they put Anthem and Apex up against each other.
Uh-huh.
And so what should have happened is Anthem should have been the big blockbuster. Had a feckin' trailer by Neil Blomkamp, for feck's sake. That should have been the big bombastic looter shooter, and then Apex should have been the womp womp, well...
It turned out to be the totally other way around.
Yup.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Anthem was... God, I mean, on my list here on my Google Doc, the bottom 3, I have, the worst 3 games. I have Anthem, and Anthem.
Yeah.
Oof, rough. By the way, have I played The Club? Is that the Sega game from a gazillion years ago?
Okay, well, that is the same title. No. So, Crows.
Oh, I haven't played it yet. No.
Yeah, they just added the spooky ghosts versus skeletons update.
Okay.
Which makes the game part of it easier.
Ah.
Also, they did what's called pulling a Fortnite, where they pretended like the thing had shut down and then relaunched it for no reason.
Got it.
Crows continued to be a shining beacon.
They didn't talk to anybody in the press, because I heard somebody was like, "Oh, they got a thing out." I'm like, "What?" Which is fine, good for them. They don't need us. But I'm like, shit, I totally lose track.
Yeah, well, and the game part was actually hidden as well, which was...
Wait, is it Frog Fraction 3?
No, the feckin' wish. What if Frog Fractions 3 is already out? We've just not found it.
It's Anthem.
Anthem was Frog Fractions 3.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I steal that tweet?
Yes. I am Frog Fraction 3!
It's the most in-depth ARG. You were crafted and sent back in time to be Frog Fractions 3.
Well, here someone has just said, I'm not going to try to pronounce Der Eric Kodig. I'm not going to do that. I've also been playing Anthem. It's not terrible, it just feels pretty mediocre. Yeah, $20 is not bad because you get to be Iron Man. And they really Iron Man'd the fuck out of that jetpack. That very thing that you do over and over. You just don't have anywhere good to fly to, and you've got that garbage grind right at the 8-hour point, right when the EA Origin Access trial ends.
Shocking!
They absolutely added... It's like The Lion King on Sega Genesis. Famously had a super nasty challenge bump hit so that kids couldn't beat the game on a rental and would be encouraged to buy it. Anthem did that. That's not a thing you do in 2019. No. I mean, there are a lot of things about it that were off. I don't know what they've patched and fixed in terms of how it communicates to players, but it is garbage at getting its information, its clarity. Like, it is. You have this wonderful cinematic intro, and then you just get dumped in a town with, hey, okay, here, hit the A button, and you're like, well, how do I get quests? Who do I need to talk to people? Where do I can I change my powers or weapons when I'm out in the field? No. Well, it would have been good to know that before I took shit weapons and powers into the field. And I mean, I know that they eventually tidied some of that stuff up. God. I mean, the things I have heard from folks who can't speak on the record, it's just Jason Schreier already did a report about the game getting essentially rebooted 11, 15 months, something crazy before it actually launched. Going for years, finally started development right after a trailer went out. And I get the sense that certain things got rebooted even earlier, or even later than that.
Yeah. One thing that's been worrying me... Oh, sorry. Kandaran, how are you doing, friend? This is Sam. Sam is a writer for Ars Technica and has been a games journo for longer than some people I know have existed.
We should switch from the video game to just my Twitter feed so that people can find me and see the amazing piece of pizza that I
can pull up your... Because we've only got you for... like.
do my hair. I'm going to get going at 3.
Okay, so we've only got you for a little bit more. So let me just... Because I have to do all the cheeky alt-tabbing. Right. There you are. Alright, so this is Sam on Twitter. Sam brought us, Sam got us a copy of the Xbox Game Pass so we could play the game we've been having a little faff around on, which is Lonely Mountain Downhill, which is very, very, very good.
Have y'all enjoyed watching it? I'm curious, in terms of Will tearing around and screaming as he falls down hills. I assume the answer is yes, but I'm curious. But yeah, and you know, I am not trying in any way to promote Xbox Game Pass. What I was saying was, this is a game, I get codes and review things and stuff in my inbox and in my literal mailbox. This is a game that I didn't start playing until it came out on Xbox Game Pass, because it just popped up on my desktop, and that was the way that it like got my attention, even though I'd seen it at press events and at preview things and had like a code advanced in my email a while back. But the proposition is not just for, you know, folks who buy video games as a thing to do when they've gotten off of work. I went after it because Xbox Game Pass made it super easy.
Yeah.
And also, not a pain to install on Windows 10, which is not what I've always said. We at Ars Technica hate certain things about Microsoft and Windows 10. Like UWP. And it just works. Like, whatever. I don't know if they're doing straight up Win32 or what process. I haven't looked into the files, but...
They've made it so much more accessible, and I'm so thankful. So yeah, we were just talking about a whole myriad of things. But so I wanted to touch back on the Anthem thing. So a lot of people were confused as to why they put out the Dragon Age 4 trailer with nothing in it. Now, this is Will's theory, but I think I'm onto a winner, which is that during that 11 months of, oh crap, we're in trouble, they were worried that EA was going to do what it does, which is when one of its headlining titles underperforms, they gut it. First, they send in middle management to fix things, then the project ends up turning to fire and they gut it out from inside. I think they put out the Dragon Age 4 trailer to build interest, to give them like essentially a bargaining chip.
Oh, I don't agree with that. I don't think that middle management gives a crap about an advertisement that's gone out.
No. So the idea is that that was organized with the Spike Game Awards. Big front page thing, you know, like, holy crap, Dragon Age 4 is going out. I think that went with very little of EA's knowledge.
Ah, you mean
so that
the folks at the studio are like, we are going to build a windfall of enthusiasm
for Dragon Age 4, which will allow us to weather the internal storm of like whatever the post-mortem is for Anthem. FYI, no one ever does a post-mortem in video games on games that are successful. Everyone just sits around and just goes, yay, we did it.
What was FTL and Risk of Rain have gotten really nice postmortems, and they've done very well.
But that's postmortem as PR, not postmortem internal.
Well, here's what I will say.
Sorry.
About Dragon Age 4. EA's most recent fiscal reports didn't talk much about Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, and there was little blips I saw in Gamma Sutra about how Dragon Age 4 isn't going to be coming out 2020, or it might be. They were saying like might be 2022. But that came from EA's PR department, not from BioWare's.
So instead of anything about Dragon Age 4, we had a mention of multiple exciting remasters. So EA's finally going to go down that road.
Yes, finally Command & Conquer.
Well, that they'd announced, but what they're saying is they've got like maybe, like they hinted at multiple others, so I assume 2 others.
Ooh, what have they got?
My guess is Mass Effect. My guess is they're going to take the things that people liked that they know sell.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect is one of those. And they can go, okay, we have redone everything to be 4K friendly, crazy textures, everything about Mass Effect 3, the entire ending package tidied up so that you don't hate us. Remember the good days.
Yeah. Remember when you were keen for Mass Effect?
And that team is building up those assets to build whatever the actual next Mass Effect game will be.
Could be.
I mean, that's my guess. Is it's two birds, one stone. We're building up the tech we need to make a next-gen Mass Effect. So we're gonna have Mass Effect trilogy ready for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet. That's my guess. Because that to me, everyone in chat just heard me say that and said, that's boring, but also I would buy that.
Yeah. I mean, same.
And that's EA. What does EA do better than that's boring, but I'll buy that? That's like
That's their bread and butter.
That's their bread and butter.
Although Ubisoft is moving in on that turf.
Well, after so many, they've between Ghost Recon Breakpoint tanking and those 3 delay Gods and Monsters. I don't even know that. I think that's still a Flash animation. I don't think there's a video. I mean, they're making a game, but I'll believe it when anybody has seen it.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows?
Okay. And what's so bizarre is that EA had that wonderful breakaway success with Grow Home. Like, they made it on with a small indie team, but they put the EA marketing machine behind it, and I know they made bank on that. Why has that not been the blueprint for them picking up indie projects?
Every indie thing they've put out to me, the most recent one was exactly what my problem with EA Originals. It tends to be more like, oh, it's got an arty look. It could make for an arty trailer, but the actual mechanical gameplay is incredibly rote. It was the one where you're this woman dealing with depression while going around on the sea. I don't remember the name of this. I'm sure somebody in chat does.
Oh, yes! It was... I mean, it got them so much good press at E3.
It looked lovely and had that sense of like, oh, it's got a diverse group making it. But when you play it, it's a failure because it is such a video game collect little things thing that takes away from the emotional impact of, oh wow, this is someone fighting their internal demons of depression.
Wow.
Like, to me, it was just it was a real... Everyone who played it before it came out was like, I don't have a lot to say because I don't hate it for the content, but it fails to really live up to that content. So if it's not, and EA has been really bad at understanding that gets written about the least.
Yeah.
If it's a game that nobody is asking about, that fails on its premise.
Sea of Solitude.
Sea of Solitude, yes. Thank you.
Also, Deus, Watto friend. Deus was saying, has the concept been explored before? Yes. So games like Gris, Anamorphine, feckin'
Hellblade.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Hellblade's the gold standard for like addressing anything like mental health.
And that was so like when it comes, I think mental health is I mean dysphoria also. DYS number 4IA is an incredible exploration. It's a flash mouse and keyboard kind of thing made by Anna Anthropy, and it's about the creator's male to female transition, which she has been super open about.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Oh, feckin'
yeah. And it's free to download, I believe.
Lucy told me that it was one I needed to have
it's
a crack
one,
at.
and that one, because it's free and it's a little low resolution, click on things experience where stuff that you do sometimes cannot be beaten. It's an empathy machine in terms of this is an experience many of us may never go through to understand what is that. Why would someone be driven to transition or to explore the shape of their and other people's gender and so on? There's so many video games that shouldn't exist because of how good Dysphoria is.
Yeah.
And there are other games that should exist because it opens up a whole new field. So, One Night Hot Springs. What's that? I don't know that.
Walrus Ware, thank you for grabbing the link on that one. Let me search One Night Hot Springs because it rings a bell. That's the one thing about getting so many press releases a day is just trying to keep everything in mind.
It's at itch.io. Visual novel. Got it. Similar sort of story about transitioning, and also if it's set in Japan, then that's a whole nother cultural. Interesting. Thank you for the tip.
Dash is saying they've bought Hellblade a long time ago, but haven't actually caught experiencing it.
I would say
brilliant.
The things that are good are incredible. It does have a couple of things that to me are gamey and like you're fetching, and it takes a little while, but it's so beautiful and so striking and so visually what the hell's going on that I'm like, yeah, it's worth it.
Numbers are saying it could be argued that Pinstripe grapples with mental health. Pinstripe, I think the underlying thing for Pinstripe is meant to be addiction, primarily alcohol, and the effect that it has on the monsters it creates.
Man, I will tell you, there's a game that came out this week called After Party, which is about... Here's the thing. I used to drink more and come from a family of alcoholics, and I mostly don't drink. And I've made room in my life to be with other people who drink, who I care about, and I've made peace with that. But After Party is a game that very loudly encourages you need to drink in order to have successful conversational options. And that, to me, says, oh, that's enabling alcoholism. And I knew people in my family who believed that fully and said they should drink for that reason. And I have some real problems with that game, and I'm not sure if I'm going to play it before year's end. But I want to play it and explore it and see how they really do it. Because the little bit I saw made me go, I don't know if y'all are... Maybe there's some twist here where you're really acknowledging the things that are taken away because of alcohol.
Because, all right, it's the Oxenfree team. Where
Correct.
are they based?
Night School.
They are based
Somewhere.
right, Night School Studio. Feck's
They're on the
sake.
internet.
Um,
I like Imperius Unlimited. This is a heavy place to come in. Listen, when I'm around, it's either heavy because I'm disturbingly funny. Usually I'm talking about balls.
no, they're in Glendale, CA. So
Yeah,
that's interesting.
they've got members who were part of the original Walking Dead team at Telltale. And they left before that all fell apart.
Because what's very interesting is, as a Brit, like, you know, we have a culture of binge drinking. So there's less...
we don't do that in the United States at all.
No, not even at all. No, so there's less,
But I hear
like, you know, you don't drink to, you know, enable conversation. You know, you drink as an event. You know, you go to get wrecked. And so there's less of kind of like the intermediary stage, or there's less of the discussion around alcohol enabling certain kinds of positive behavior. It's not the like, oh, well, you know, if I'm going to be social, I might as well have a drink. But there's also, I'm not saying the English way is better, but it creates this weird cultural disconnect for me when I experience these games. And so that's why I'd be really interested, once I've had a playthrough of it, to know.
Also, I want to know about Imperius Unlimited's Hell's Angels family. Like, do you have uncles or parents who are working security at that crazy Rolling Stones concert? What we got going on here?
What I will say is, Imperios is also a Seattle local. Was my handler at GameWorks, so that's how I got the residency there.
Right.
So at some point, I will put both of you lovely folks in the same room for stories and banter.
Right. Secrets.
Yeah, because Imperios doesn't drink.
Yeah.
And
well, I
value
and
their
Walrus,
opinion on a lot of
Walrus
this
Rare brings up the point about, you know, having a drink is one thing, needing it to have an enjoyable time. You know, I do believe that's funny by Lizzie. You had to handle Will. I apologize.
They fed me
Chicken wings, right?
Giga pretzel for days.
Gotcha. But yeah, I think a game should be really careful when it's saying, hey, you have to imbibe on alcohol in order to succeed. Is a really strong message to send, and I'm not sure that's... I feel like a diversity of viewpoint would be really useful in development when that message comes up. So I'm curious whether but I haven't played enough to really call out. I'm definitely anxious when I think about it, because I'm like, I don't know.
I guess I'm overly hopeful because the thematics are, you know, you're literally drinking with demons. You know, you're trying to beat them in conversation and drinking contests. So it is possible for them to kind of bring that thing around, and they handled drinking pretty well in Oxenfree. So here's hoping.
I'll find out.
Like,
I'll play it at some point.
Yeah.
On top of all the other games in my backlog. Not to mention I got strapped into VR a bunch this week.
I won't be able to identify which games are and aren't because, but the BAFTA key dropped for prejudging. So So yeah, my backlog just went. Not today, Satan.
Good to know. I think on that note, I'm going to call this my exit point.
Okay. Well, look, Sam, I want to say thank you real for coming in. Like, it feels like we've been talking for 10 minutes and it's been nearly 3 hours.
Oh, no, I was going to leave earlier because I'm always tired of your shit, but here I am. No.
How you know if someone really knows me in the real?
Oh, no, it's lovely. If I didn't have a real job, I would hang out all day and then, you know, I'd just sit here with a Switch while you talk to all of these lovely folks. But everyone, you have been very kind to me, even when I threatened great harm on your pal Will. Our pal Will. And don't be a stranger. someday, if anyone of these wants to use magical Twitch powers to free up at Sam Red on Twitch, so I could have that, that'd be great, because my current Twitch handle, which streams once every year and a half, is at Machovech.
Yep.
Which is the spelling of my last name.
As someone who fails to read people's usernames, I definitely Sam Red would make my life a lot easier.
I mean, how do you type usernames into this?
With great difficulty.
Just
and
put
care.
at MACHKOVECH so that people can, add or whatever.
I think I have to find you like this.
Do it. Find me.
But it also means I've got to. Oh yeah, I've got the correct spelling of your
You
surname
got the correct
here.
spelling there.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me. Solo performance, baby, one more time. There is a karaoke video. I'm using Twitch Sings in order to do.
Because you did the review on Twitch Sings for ours.
Nah, I decided not to.
Wait, no.
There's my username.
Okay.
That's me.
All right. And if you want to throw them a follow on Twitch for the rare occasions where they belt something out, that is absolutely where to find them.
But I am in no way partnered or whatever words matter for making money. So feel free to just pop me on there, because I pop into his chat on occasion, and you'll be like, oh, that's that guy. Then you'll know.
Yeah.
Semo.
And so Wars where I do see what you're saying, but I think that disclaimer at the beginning of Dysphoria isn't a please don't attack me. I think it's because someone who's gone through it has far more empathy, and that they have a level of understanding that knowing that, 5 people who all go through Dysphoria will have 5 drastically different stories, and maybe 5 drastically different outcomes.
Yeah.
I don't think that disclaimer comes from a don't hurt me. I think it comes from a genuine place of knowing. That would be my take on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that disclaimer, so I don't know what shape it is, but I don't blame anybody who's wading into conversations about gender fluidity in the world of loud, opinionated, not necessarily kind, anonymous gaming folks. Might,
Yup.
Yeah, I don't know. I err on the benefit of the doubt side, because Inanthropy has been making games for years and doing a lot of experimental weird stuff, and I admire her efforts. And yes, so there's lots of video games. I listed off 10 earlier. Wait, like 18, because I had my top 9 and then the other 9 that are fighting for the 10th spot.
Yeah, and if you want a fluffy game that deals with similar topics, Diaries of a Spaceport Janitor.
Yes,
It's an injection of whimsy into a very real topic.
but yes. So keep up with me on the tweeters, on the Twitches, on the webinets. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell at the top.
Ring that bell or steal it from a fucking goose.
Steal from the goose. But I'm gonna give you a hug goodbye.
Oh, dude, thank you for coming on, man.
I'm gonna have.
We sold video games, everybody.
Give you all a hug.
You're making it weird.
You smell so good.
Don't make it weird.
All right.
Oh, feck. I need to change the price on that.
You smell so good. I'll let you. Okay.
Swamp culture, am I right?
Swamp culture. All right, I'm gonna crawl over
Okay.
because you're still on stream.
Yep, I'm gonna keep hanging out with these guys.
Hang out with these guys.
They've got my sorry ass for a few hours.
All right. Wait, did I leave anything? Oh, give me that scarf.
Give me that scarf. You got your cool kid shades?
I got my cool kid shades. All right, bye, chat.
Okay, bye, Sam.
See you guys.
Now you're just stuck with little old me. The caliber of guests now goes down. Yeah, Salen, we were trying to come up with things that people could exchange mead points for, and that was one that happened. So, Salen, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Lizzie, I had a food break, kinda. I got some stuff. I mean, look, I got a bevy. I went and I got some stuff. It's fine. It's fine. J-Pro says interview River. I mean, I'm sure I can summon. Miyaki Sakura, happy Halloween to you too. Cadran said, is some stuff a sandwich? It had sandwich-like qualities. But yeah, I do want to say again, thank you to Sam for coming in. I like that I'm able to introduce as many of my industry friends to you as I can, because as I'm sure you noticed, Sam is very sharp and has a real strong understanding of the industry and how it interacts. And being able to have these discussions with Sam has been, feckin' great. Hang on, I need to move this over here though, just so that when River eventually joins us, plus that way you can see all the squishies. And then River's got her spot. I made that bed. Made that bed.